Oh my God, chat. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that you'll have to wait so long. But welcome in, Raiders. Welcome in. I know I opened the fish game. I know I opened the fish game. Where are they? Oh, hello. I forgot to do another thing. Pardon me. This is what happens when I get yelled at to open stream early. I forget shit, okay? I forget shit. It happens. But welcome in, guys. Welcome in. I am freezing. I currently... I wish I was joking. I currently have a blanket wrapped around me. Actually, here, we're gonna visualize this. We're gonna visualize this. Where is it? Where's my... It's not it. Where is it? There it is. Ah, yes, perfect. Yes. Blinky. Yes, perfect. Perfection. This is where we're at right now. Just so you know, this is me. If you make fun of me today, this is me. This is me. This is who you're making fun of. It's blanky time. It's blanky time. I'm using an old blanket from when I was in college that I bought for like, I'm pretty sure super fucking cheap. Also, retired AI, thank you for the follow. Welcome in. I'm sorry I missed that. Oh my God, did you see it? Wait, what did I see? What did I see? What was I supposed to see? What was I supposed to see? I hope you missed your storm ults. What the fuck, milk shots? What the fuck? That's okay. I already had a game today where I got 2 ults as Storm while I was playing with Sai, and none of them hit anybody. One of them was because I ulted, and by the time my channel ended, there were so many people that were either, all the people that were on the point were dead, and the people that weren't dead were like in our backline while we were trying to capture the points. So I couldn't get close enough to them. The other one, sucking acid things is what it takes to be sort of good at things. Yeah, I don't see anything wrong with that quote. What's wrong? But what was the other? The other one was me ulting on a point, which would have been a really good ult because they were all on the point. But then Sai ulted after my channel went off, after the, what is it? The feel the wrath of the goddess. And then Sai ulted as Jeff and ate everyone and ran away with them. And so I had nobody to drop my ult on. I had no one. I had no one to drop my ult on. So I just stood there. I just stood there, just meh, meh. Oh, actually here, let me, I can make a better visual representation of, wait, where is it? Oh, there it is. All right. This is me. This is me IRL, if you even care. There we go. This is me. This is me right now. Fantastic. Fantastic. Y'all are being mean to this. Y'all are being mean to this. The power of Santa. I cast Blizzard on Marin. That's not allowed. Standing, just waiting, looking goofy. Yeah, exactly. Really, Ghost. Because you're not, that's true. I'm not bald, but it's closer than all of this hair. Oh, my hair's gone, Faye. It's gonna take 2 years to grow it out again. What do you mean, not allowed? You can't be mean today. I'm cold and frigid. I'm bald. It's fine. I know it's mine. The worst thing is I style my hair every time I get out of the shower, and then I come sit at my desk and my headphones fuck up what I style. Coco. I just turned around and Coco was like chewing on an ornament that's on my bed frame. What are you doing? Why are you chewing on that? It's just a little bulb. Are you anxious about something? Do you want to go out? Do you want to go get your toy? Do you need to go get your croc? Coco has like a little croc toy with a rope on it that she likes running around with. I was hearing a grinding sound behind me and I was like, what is that? I turned around and she's chewing on like the decorative thing that's on the baseboard of the bed in here, which is pretty much just like this little bulb of things. And I can actually see, I can see now that she has like done damage to it, which is so weird. Headphones ruining hair is a severe issue. I agree. I agree. But I like having big headphones more than I would like having like earbuds or anything. Because I can wear these for a lot of hours. I can't wear earbuds for longer than like 2.
Making
Wait, yes, because I'm living a fucking high right now? What does that mean, Ghost? What do you mean you're living a fucking high? Are you manic? I'm kidding. She's just here. Coco's just in here with me. Oh my god, why is it so cold? The thing is, it's not even that cold. It's only like probably in the 30s. But my room is exceptionally cold compared to the rest of the house. Because like AC nonsense. My brain farted. But I'm also just kind of sitting here in like as the clothes that I can put on because I don't feel like putting on more because then I get too hot and then that's even worse. It's like 8 degrees at night. Oh. I got first for the first time ever. You got first in what? Was that hair lore accurate at one point? It was a little bit. I'm not actually blonde, which sucks, kind of, but that's fine because I actually have really nice hair. I have been told I have really, really nice hair. First stream, you dingus. Oh, wait, did you beat Sunstar? Oh, you beat Sunstar? Sunstar, what do you have to say for yourself? Sunstar wasn't ready for the surprise stream. He wasn't ready. He wasn't at his desk and ready to claim it. Have we tried the new season of Marvel? Yes, I have. And I've played one game as Sue so far. She's pretty fun. She gets focused a lot. Like that match was a hell for me. They had a Scarlet Witch, a Storm, and a Loki. And that Loki was stealing Storm's ult every chance he got and just dropping it on my ass. I could not get out of there fast enough, even with my invis. My shit wouldn't even load Twitch. I was upsetting. Damn. Sticky in Elden Ring? I don't do sticky. Ordained, what are you doing? What's the chaos for? What's the fire for? What's the deal? What's the shebang? Tell me your secrets. Tell me your secrets, little man. Test? Test what? What are we testing? Testing! Testing, testing, testing! Testing! Oh my god. Use fire to not be cold. I do have a fireplace, but it's so far on the other side of the house that it wouldn't do anything for me. I would have to be streaming from like the living room. Oh, my message is not sending. I think my chat stopped updating. Mine did that the other day on mobile. I think that was a Wednesday, I'm pretty sure. Where like I was trying to send messages, but it just wasn't showing anything. And I don't know what happened. I had to close the app and reopen it to get it to work again. Also, Wrath, holy shit, 1 year at tier 1. I'm sorry, I missed that. Holy shit, was that during the... Okay, yeah, that was during the opening sequence. And the prawn hub, really necrotic. Really? Really? Oh my goodness. Mine those that somehow... What? Wait, what? Mine those that sometime and then at one point I get like 30 messages at once. Okay. Mine does that sometimes and then at one point I get like 30 messages. Okay. I bet your hair is nice. My hair is nice. I have nice hair. I'm proud of my hair. That was my poor stylist at one point was also like, before we started, she was like, I'm gonna feel really bad for like cutting all this off. And I'm like, well, I can still be convinced not to. I could be convinced just to get a trim this time. She's like, well, no, you came in here saying that you wanted to get this haircut. I was like, no. Try and convince me. I was on the just get a trim all the way up until yesterday when all the friends were like, yeah, go get the short haircut. It'll be cool. It's fine. It's fine. Also, I'm not looking at Coco, but she's currently looking at me and like trying to get my attention. She is under the desk. I repeat, she is under the desk. What are you doing, Stinkums? What are you doing? You fucking goofball. Oh my goodness. Hi, Coco. Why are you trying to get on my lap? Why are you trying to get on my lap? Stinky, stop licking my arm. Why are you like this? Why are you like this? I got a haircut yesterday before my interview and the lady fucked my hair up and I didn't even realize until after the interview and I've already gotten home. That's hilarious. That is hilarious. Coco demands the lovins. I was giving her lovins during the ad break because I also ran outside to go nom on some meats. I said meats plural. It was actually just one. It was, I can't remember what it's called. Soprasso or something? I don't remember. I already ate all of the lomo I had. That was the prickly pear pork loin. Are we talking about how cool Marin is? No. Let's go meat snacks. Meat snacks! Listen, Faye has put me back on to fucking cured meats. They're affordable. They last a few days. They're like a good snack. Meat sheets. Oh God, the chant. That was a game. That was a game of all time. I want beef jerky. I'm not a big fan of beef jerky. Falk, thank you for renewing your season pass. That's another thing I'm a little not sad about, but I was like, I opened the game today and then I checked my bank account and I was like, no, I can't get the luxury pass, nor can I get the Sue Storm skin, the Malice skin. Damn. So we just got to look at Sue's massive badonkadonk in a skin tight suit instead of in a leotard. It's fine. It'll work out. It'll work out all for the better. Marin's pretty cool, guys. Are you sure? Gus was a family dog. We saw but didn't hear it. Wait, what didn't? The sound alert? Oh, I know why. It's because I have the game audio muted. The channel for game is muted. It's muted right now because I still have Marvel Rivals open. And I don't want y'all to just hear the Marvel Rivals music the whole time. We're just sitting here chilling. Because if I unmute it, then y'all would hear the game that's currently running in the background. Ordain, why are you looking at yourself? Is Marin the family dog? No, Coco's the family dog. Meow, comfy? I am very warm. Oh, I didn't mention what the blanket was that I was wearing because I only mentioned part of it. It's, like I said, it's a blanket I bought for cheap as dirt when I was like a freshman in college. And it's 3 kittens sitting on a lawn. That's it. That's the whole blanket is a picture of 3 kittens sitting on a lawn. All right, hold on. I gotta let Coco out. She looks like she wants to go out. All right, go get him, champ. Okay. What is that? You? Wait. You? Me? Wait, what? What are you on about? You me what? You me what? What we doing? Come back here, blanket. You're the one thing keeping my neck warm. I no longer have hair to keep my neck warm. I did this to myself. I should have waited till summer. Marin's AFK face wasn't funny enough for me to screenshot. No, I'm not funny anymore. How can you do this to me? Okay, let me see really quick what's going on. Anita Bryant? Does anybody know who Anita Bryant is? Anita Bryant, from music star to anti-gay activist, dies at 84. Known for her singing career in the 60s and 70s, passed away on December 16th, 2024 at the age of 84 in Edmond, Oklahoma due to cancer. While she began as a popular singer and beauty queen, she is notably remembered for her opposition to gay rights, which significantly impacted her music career. How did you think that was going to work out? Yeah, it's extremely. I hope this is the first thing Anita Bryant sees when she gets the help. And it's a picture of Lil Nas X fucking lap dancing on Satan's lap. Knowing her granddaughter's happily married lesbian woman, good. Good. That's fucking funny. Hold on, let me see. I want to see what some of these other things are. A view of where Anita Bryant is now, just fire. Oh, it's just yelling. All the people that keep saying it, that's like, saw Anita Bryant trending, found out she's dead. Oh, thank God. Oh my God. Oh, and people are posting pictures where it's like a moment of silence for Anita Bryant. And then people are posting whatever other musicians they have. That's basically just the musician yelling at the top of their lungs. Rest in peace. Good news. Homophobe Anita Bryant died. Here's the gif of her greatest moment, getting pie-faced by a gay activist. Amazing. I can't hear right now because I'm with the fan, but I see a very snuggly mountain. I am snuggly. What ordained? Why are you shaking money at me? Why are you shaking? Rest in piss. There you go, Pickles. Perfect. Perfect. Oh, right. By the way, her anti-gay campaign called Save Our Children was the blueprint for every homophobe conservative's attack on queer people for the last 48 years. Would you like to play with your video main? No, I'm going to be playing with friends later, Carrie. We'll be playing with friends later. When we gets to it. When we gets to it. I have a Mary Jason meme to make today. Go get him, Ren. Go get... Why are you the way that you are, Gannon? Why do you do this to me? No. You don't get to scatter today. Also, wait, is that scatter emote frozen? Wait, that's funny. Why is it frozen? Why is it frozen? No, I'm not gonna let you shoot that down. Skeletons and shivers down your spine. Shrieking skulls will shock your soul, seal your doom tonight. What does that mean, Carrie? What does that mean? What have you done? Anita Bryant will suck oranges in hell from now on. Let's celebrate our queer icons who protested against the enemy of human rights. Oh my God, they actually put her pictures on posters. That's amazing. Save Our Children from Anita Bryant. That's... This dude wearing a t-shirt, Anita sucks fruit juice. That's really funny. Oh, was this a Houston protest? Interesting. Interesting indeed. It's also funny. It's funny that even the AI was like, yeah, her being a piece of shit. Her being a piece of shit is what ruined her music career. And I'm like, that's amazing. That's perfect. And thought you told me later because I was a friend you were going to play with and not the more likely option if you have a full stack of other buddies. I'm sorry, Gary. I'm sorry. Oh, hey, my hair's back. Think she's muted? Oh my God. Wait, that's a fantastic emote. That's a hilarious emote. If Faye keeps hoarding water like a Nestle CEO, I don't know what you're talking about. I got plenty of water over here. Ah, delicious. Delicious. I'm not hoarding water cannon. Listen, it's fine. It's fine. Wait, what the fuck is this? Why is Magneto on this reply? Old Glory Club? What the fuck is that? Pony Express Radio? What is that? This is the one post I've seen where they're like, God, please save Anita Bryant. It's like, wait, what? It's the first post. Everything else is just fucking eat shit, Anita. Or the pie thing. It's the pie thing. May Anita Bryant receive the afterlife she believes in. That's hardcore. You vertically challenged ankle biting a speed bump at Colmare. What the fuck, Stoner? What the fuck? You ain't been in here in how long? And that's the first thing you say to me? What do you take me for? You ain't been here in a week. You ain't been in here in a week, and you said 2 things then. And the last time you were here was September. How could you? How could you? Marion, Ren gave me a knife timed for crime. Okay, have fun. Ren, why did you give Ordain a knife? Why did you give Ordain a knife? Go do crime. Oh, God. Oh, God, what have you done? What have you done, Ren? What have you done to me? All right. Wait, what is this? Oh. No, okay, hold on. I want to see if there's any other news nonsense going on that's a little more interesting that isn't fucking Fortnite. Jesus. Stop giving me Fortnite shit. Wait. Please, please tell me Gal Gadot is not playing Maleficent in the live-action Snow White movie. Please tell me Gal Gadot is not playing Maleficent in the live-action Snow White movie. I'm begging you. Fortnite's gonna explode when Godzilla drops in a week, and then again when Miku hits. Oh, Jesus. And then of course, they're only gonna be limited editions, so you know, the FOMO cycle continues. The FOMO cycle continues. The Five Nights at Freddy's 2 pizzeria sign has been revealed. They're making a sequel, but the first one wasn't even decent. Miku won't be limited. Godzilla will be because he's Battle Pass skin. Well, no, all of the skins in fucking Fortnite are limited because they cycle. They're all limited. They all have a small window where you will wake up in the morning and have to be like, oh shit, that's the skin I've been waiting for. Better get my wallet. Regardless of how bad it is. And I have food. What kind of food, Sunstar? Did you bring some for me? I would like some food. I would like some food. Food is delicious. Food is tasty. Maleficent and Snow White? Yes, Reaper. Yes. Wait, is Maleficent? No, it's the Evil Queen, isn't it? It's the Evil Queen. You're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. It looks like Maleficent. But yeah, it's the Evil Queen. Even then, Gal Gadot still gets roles. But, oh, what's this? Okay, not official images. Something about Nintendo. Something, a bunch more stuff about Timothée Chalamet for some reason. Football. Thailand box office post. That's interesting. I was going to say crossover. No. No, you were right. Don't be hating on us, you vertically challenged Baldy. Maybe if you got rid of those yee-ass side head haircut, maybe you'll find a wife that doesn't hoard water like Nestle CEO Piss Eyes. Ganon! Jesus! Did Ganon just crash out? What happened? Sunstar actually just ended my entire career with that line. Wow. I beat you to the first redeem, and I have food. Listen. It's fine. Ganon has just chosen violence. Ganon went off. I think Ganon just exploded. I think they may have actually just gone pop. Roast. God damn it. What's wrong with my side shave? Why don't you like my side shave? I'm just a cold little idiot with a blankie. I'm broke as fuck. Sunstar just completely destroyed me. Listen, it's fine. I'm broke as shit right now too. I was hoping we were going to end up with oh, what the hell? Huh. Weird. Peach fuzz stuck to my hoodie. He's tired of the sexy lesbian haircut. It's okay. We'll have a new haircut for 2.0 whenever I air that. More hair would make you less cold. That is correct. My neck is freezing. which is why I currently, y'all can't see it, but I have the blanket pulled up like and tucked under my, like the back of my head. It feels nice. It feels nice. Side shaves mean no bitches. I disagree. I think that means all the bitches. Throw some piercings in there. You're going to get all the ladies. Side shave and piercings, girls. Go get them. Go get them. Wait, what? Oh. Oh. Oh, more Kendrick Lamar nonsense. Movie schedule. Wait. Anime Rave, exclusive Demon Slayer Infinity Castle arc movie is coming to Japanese theaters September 12th. Huh. Okay, network tests for Elden Ring Night Rain, February 14th through the 17th. Registration is now open till the 20th. nightrain.com/NT. More Fortnite skin posts, more Fortnite skin posts, more Zenless Zone Zero posts. People making fun of Overwatch for having a fraction of Marvel Rivals viewers on Twitch. Wait, are they remaking the House of the Dead? Oh, those look horrifying. Oh, God. That's going to be fun. That's going to be fun. Over what? Never heard of it? The House of the Dead 2 remake? Likely getting a side shave in the future? You know, by styling it, you can change the direction your hair typically goes, right? It usually just requires a little bit of finagling after a shower. Hi, Keyshawn. I was gonna say, most people don't have like a natural hairstyle. There's not really such a thing. Gonna lick Mountain's bald head. Stop licking the side of my head! Look what they have to do to mimic a fraction of our power points in Overwatch. Correct. Correct. Oh boy, voting age proposal at the national level. Voting to change the voting age from 18 to 16. I think that's a bad idea. I think that's a bad idea. How many of y'all remember when you were like 16 and you were like, if you at 16, did you still vote like your parents did? Here's just how it is. Too complicated. Sounds like you need to figure out a simple style. Because of like how it falls. Yeah. If you can drive, you can vote. Weird. I guess that's the proposal. I still think there should be some kind of test to be able to vote. Because people are stupid. We did mock elections in high school. A lot of people voted the opposite of their parents. That happens a lot. It's either, the thing is, there's two opposites when it comes to teenagers voting. And it's either you vote the exact opposite of your parents, or you vote like identical because your parents essentially force you to do that. I've had friends who said when they became 18, their parents dragged them to go vote and then told them who they had to vote for. Ooh. Oh my God. Art Deco, the style is popular again a century after its heyday. Fucking good. Bring back Art Deco. More Art Deco. More, I say. More, damn it. I need it. I need it. But Malin, if I don't like the side head, then how will chat find you in a crowd with the rest of the genetic side-shaved women? Generic side-shaved women, leather jacket. Generic? Generic? What do you mean generic? How dare you? This happened. I intentionally vote the opposite just because I don't like being forced. Correct. Voted for the shitty nationalists because it's not the old parties. Ooh. Hate that. I did crime. Also, someone's car lights are on. What's the car? What's the make and model? Ordain, do you remember? Also, wait a second. Ordain, is the 7-Eleven emote gone? Is the 7-Eleven emote gone? I have a clip for this. You'll hate me for this. Carrie. It was the Ford pickup truck, Ford sedan, Ford crossover, Ford Explorer. Be able to vote if you're mentally sane by being thrown into multiple tests to prove you're capable to be sane. Oh my God. Yeah, it's even though when you say like make a test or anything, more than likely the government would make something absolutely insane that would like disqualify their opposing party to some degree. Feels like a Ford F-150. It feels like a Ford F-150. Are you blind? Are you kind of like patting the car and just being like, I think this is a 94 F-150. Art Deco is how we should have modernized. I fucking agree. Oh God. Wait, wait, the way this guy says this, Art Deco was always meant to be the style and aesthetic of America. It looks good on her. Because that's what it feels like to drive a Ford F-150. Yes. But God, yeah, we messed up drifting away from Art Deco. We messed up drifting away from Art Deco. Oh my gosh, hold up, Baron. I have a clip for this. You'll hate me for it. No! No, what the government did was be racist with the test? Correct. It'd be like the old literacy test. Fanny! Moo Moo, grab your panini makers. Because we cooking? Wait, what were you cooking? Fanny, what were you cooking? Was it more paninis? Ooh, I like paninis. I'm hungry. Danger, Snacky Snake. I'm sorry that's broken, and I'm sorry y'all probably can't hear the alerts. This is a Moobery? What? Welcome in, though, Raiders. We're currently hanging out. We're having a grand old time. I started a little bit early, so we're also doing a lot of yapping. But later today, we're going to be playing a bit of Marvel Rivals. I hope y'all had a good stream. I wish paninis are delicious. I agree. Sandwiches are made better when they're smushed. When they're toasted and smushed. They're just better. I don't make the rules, okay? They're just better. Sandwiches that are toasted and crispy and fluffy on the inside are perfect. I love crispy sandwiches. Vanny took Mountain's milk because this side Mountain doesn't have Z cups. What the fuck? Wait, we're being mooed? No! Yes, we're being mooed. But welcome in, Raiders! Those of you who don't know me, my name is Mar, and I'm the ringleader of the Dark Carnival. I typically play games that are dark, spooky, terrifying, or just whatever my little inclinations like to grab onto. Today is going to be Marvel Rivals because the first season just dropped, and right now we're currently chilling. I am currently taking a look through the Twitter trending section, and I'm currently obsessing over other people that agree that Art Deco should come back because it's fucking awesome. Because Art Deco is the best style ever made in America. Although there is one here. We're gonna swap on over really quickly. I'm also currently wrapped up in a blanket, IRL. All right, so like Art Deco typically, like this is just an art piece. Here's the trains. Love the trains. Those don't stick around anymore. An Art Deco lounge. And then of course an Art Deco skyscraper. But look at this motherfucker by my head who was like, I like Art Deco, and then fucking the Tesla Robobus. This dude missed the fucking plot. Look at that shit. I like it. Buddy, I'd hate to tell you, sir. Actually, hold on. I have a curiosity thing. There's one comment on it. No, this guy missed the plot too. It's the Batmobile, the long front Batmobile. Ford's Michigan Central. But yeah, we need Art Deco. I want Art Deco back. I want more lounges like this. Where is this? I bet this shit's in like New York. I wonder, hold on, can I? Oh shit, I don't know what that is. Copy image mayhaps? Oh, the downside of it not actually being Google Chrome, I can't right click and search. And then we're not gonna look at the rest of these because fuck that shit. Fuck that shit. Because the rest of this isn't Art Deco. Also, hi, Melissa. How are you doing? Thank you for the big emote. That's Katie. That's a Katie wave. How are you doing? People are stupid. There's 100% thunk it means art decoration. Yeah. But hold on. Apparently, it's this was originally posted by the Associated Press, which is very interesting. Possible Mayan revival, finally a break from modernism. This is very good. Art Deco is the epitome of modernism. Kind of ish. At the time, it's... Wait. The fuck are these? They died to make the desert bloom? Wait, isn't that a Russian? That's a Russian monument, isn't it? I think it is. The Art Deco style represents an optimism enthusiasm for an age that never came. Instead, we had 2 world wars and the neoliberal hegemony that followed. It was all downhill from there. Yep. It was the hype and glory of an age that never arrived. Building their palaces to house their king and queens, only for them to die before their inauguration. But damn, is it not a fucking phenomenal style? I love it so much. If Art Deco leads to more Bioshock, I'm all for it. You tried Mr. Fantastic or The Invisible Woman yet? I have played Sue once. I don't much care for Reed. But, wait. Who is this dude? Hold on, this is funny as fuck. Okay, hold on. This is fucking hilarious. I think this dude does not understand what Art Deco is in the comment section here. This is another guy who has like missed the plot completely. This guy is like, I noticed that in a new temple design, compared to other designs, they try to follow the local architecture. This one definitely looks a bit deco. What do you think a bit deco is? That's a Church of the Latter-day Saints, just fucking white marble pillar. Like, that's a 3D render. That's a 3D render. Is the Art Deco in the room with us? Sir, is the Art Deco in the room with us? Oh yeah, that explains that. Child of God, conservative, make America like the Free State of Florida, Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, celiac, Lyme, and autoimmune diseases. Amazing. Amazing. No, I think this is an actual church. This looks like it's under construction. Facebook, Syracuse, Utah temple. So he took the picture from the local temple being built. But it's also just like, these are AI. This one I don't think is, but this one definitely is. This one's definitely AI. Mainly because there's windmills in the middle of downtown Manhattan. That's nuts. In a door we trust. Chat. We got things. I want those things. You got the Zackle and the Zack Cube. He has Gnar transformation and an active Thornmail. I don't think you can count it as an active Thornmail because you have to aim it. So when it comes to him like absorbing damage during that thing, you have to aim it, if I remember right. It only releases just like a burst of energy wherever your reticle is pointed. Chrysler Building, Empire State Building, RCA Building, and Rockefeller Center. Okay, let me see here. What does this say? A century after it was formally introduced in the 1925 International Exhibition of Modern Decorative and Industrial Arts in Paris, Art Deco is enjoying a resurgence in decor, fashion, and more. A new generation is appreciating blah. Styles English. Unapologetically glamorous roots and translating it into something new. A current exhibition at the Museum of the City of New York provides a look at the style that helped define the city in the popular imagination a century ago. In landmarks like the Chrysler Building, the Empire State Building, Rockefeller Center, and Radio City Music Hall, Art Deco City, New York's postcards from the Leonard A. Lauder collection also showcases ephemera, clothing, and film clips from the era. English! Just aim at someone five head, yeah. But it's not exactly an active thorn mail. I disagree that it would be, you could compare it to a thorn mail. Instead of random and hilarious thought, Marvel Rivals has the chance to do the funniest shit ever for an April Fool's joke. When Moon Knight uses Zold, he needs to say random bullshit. I mean, they already censor characters in the game. They could just censor it and make it like a goofy little Easter egg for when he ults. They could just add that now. It doesn't even need to be for like April Fools. That'd be funny though if they added it as like a 1% chance. Art Deco, make buildings look cool and interesting. Capitalism, no, too expensive. Correct. Correct. Were they censoring it? Marvel's already not kid friendly. Because it's funnier that way. No more Moon Knight maids. Wait, haven't y'all heard? I'm trying to remember who has it. I think it's Rocket when he talks to Jeff. At different points when Rocket talks to Jeff, Jeff will like respond to him and he'll just be like, and it's so fucking funny to me. It's so fucking funny. Rivals is rated T. That doesn't mean you can swear excessively. I saw finally how much the damage Hawkeye does. Why does he do 400 fucking damage? Didn't they reduce that in the newest patch? I mean, that's also on a headshot, so that makes sense. That makes sense. I'm so fucking glad he got nerfed. Listen, it's fine. It's fine. Whatever it was reduced by, that's not nearly enough. Amazing. But ask 3 historians to define the term Art Deco, and you'll likely get 3 varying answers. Design writer Erica Ellen Sansone said last year in a story for Elle Decor, Art Deco is many different things to different people. Its evolution is as unique as its expression in architecture, interior design, decorative arts, and fashion. Emerging from World War I, the original Art Deco era embodied a spirit of creativity, freedom, and innovation, with modernity and exuberance on full display. The 1920s and early 30s became one of the most design-influential periods in history. Hell yeah, Faye! Those early 1930s saw the bloom of the style in Miami, too, where South Beach's Art Deco district is a draw for visitors and a hub for design. In Paris, organizers of the 2024 Olympics created an Art Deco poster last year to celebrate the Games and mark the centennial since the 1924 Olympics, which Paris also hosted. Wait, really? I didn't know Paris. The 100-year difference on hosting? That's amazing. We playing a bit of Marvels? Yeah, we're going to be playing some Marvels later. I'm going to play some Marvels in a bit. I still have Marvels open. from when I was playing it with Sai. Listen, random bullshit. God, Jesus. Jesus, ordain. Got a tiny ass, but what the fuck? Why are you bullying me today, Ganon? What did I do? I'm here early for you. Why won't you love me? Why won't you love me? What did I do to deserve this? The boldness and elegance of Art Deco is what appeals to me, says New York-based interior designer Vanessa De Leon, a frequent presence on HGTV and Bravo. In her interiors, deep hues like emerald and ebony make gleaming metallic accents and stylized prints. De Leon's latest lighting collection pays homage to Deco's signature frosted glass and polished metal fixtures. Hold on, why did my phone just vibrate? Oh, okay. It's another, what the hell? Oh, it's another, gamer sub sequence. Only Fox? For someone named Renee? Interesting. And apparently they made lids that have fox ears on them. Okay. Anyway, we're sending you to Chile. Wait, there's delicious food in Chile. I'll go to Chile. Are you sending me there for free? Are y'all paying for it? You know exactly what you did. What did I do? I don't know. I don't know. I'm worried. All I have is a blanket. I'm adorable. You can't believe me. Why are you so mean to me, Canyon? Are you so mean to me? Why are you so mean to me? Are you so mean to me? We can? Wait, why would y'all send me to Chile? Just send me to Norway. I bet the prices are probably the same, if not comparative. I doubt, actually, I'm curious, chat. Do we want to compare prices on what it takes to fly down to Chile versus to fly to like Norway? To the mines? What? Piss eyes? What the fuck? My eyes are gold. Might as well just ship her now, chat. Yeah, just shove me in a box and ship me. That the Jeff swearing interaction with Rocket is fake? Maybe. I don't listen to him that often. Gold is the color of piss? No, it's not. That is not true at all. I have the same eye color as the model. I'm about to smack Ganon. Carrie, this isn't a real eye color. This isn't a real eye color. You can't have this eye color. It's hazel? Wait, what? It is not, that is not even close. That is several hundred hues away from it. All right, I'm not actually going to look up plane flight tickets. It'll make me sad. It'll make me sad. How does this article end? For true Art Deco devotees, the exhibition at the Museum of the City of New York is must-see. Co-curator Linda Klitsch notes that postcards were the social media of their day, with travelers busily scribbling messages to friends and family. The city's now iconic deco buildings feature prominently in over 250 postcards, plus a selection of 1920s era gowns, shoes, and accessories. More than aesthetic, Art Deco was the look that sold the city to the world, says curator Lily Tuttle. The exhibition runs through February 17th. For free? All right, I'll go to Chile. It's going to be so much delicious food down there. It's going to be awesome. Also, hold on. I got to wipe my glasses. My glasses. I can't see through my glasses. Yeah. Yeah. Hold on. Okay. Okay, now I can see. We're sending Sai with you. Yippee! Wait, but what about Faye? I'm done with food. Let's go. If you want to pop in, you can. No uppies, only despair. Because I'm pretty sure I just took over your channel. It's mine.
Can you give it back?
No.
Please?
No, it's mine now. I took over it. Use your words. Use your words. Uh-huh. I see.
Yeah. So...
Magnificent. I want to go to Chile. I want to eat food. Yeah, who wouldn't want to eat food in Chile? So he gets to watch the house. Hyper. It's Green Mom.
Hi. I'm back, bitch.
You didn't go very far.
I went all the way to the kitchen and all the way back.
Was it 40 miles uphill both ways?
Yeah. I went through the snowstorm, World War IV, 7 years of housing market drops.
So you mean the every 7-year cycle of housing market bubble popping?
And here I am. I'm back to Marvel Rivals, baby.
We're not talking about it. We're not talking about the Mets. No. We're talking about Mibble Ribble, baby. All about Mibble Ribble. All about that Sue Storm.
All about that Sue Storm ass. Let's fucking go.
Settle down, Nestle CEO. I'm taking your water. Listen, Faye's not nearly as monstrous as the Nestle CEO. He thinks water's not a human right. That's not a joke. He doesn't think people deserve water. What fucking planet do we live on?
Sadly, Earth.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't think Mars is going to be much better either.
Mm-mm.
I'm evil, but I think water, food, and housing are inherent human rights. I agree. No water,
Same.
only Dr. Pepper? No. The Nestle CEO is a fucking abomination. I agree. I was going to say, I saw a post the other day that made me laugh, and it was like, video games convinced us that the capitalists we had to fear were the mustache-swirling, handsome, charismatic types. Instead, the ones that we have to fear is, and then it's just a fucking pic. It was like, what's his name? House? I think his name is House from Fallout New Vegas.
I thought you meant House.
The doctor?
House MD?
Yeah, no. I figured that's why you laughed.
I was like, we have to fear House.
No. It was a picture of House to be like the mustache twirling charismatic capitalist that like actually tries to convince you. Instead, we just get fucking Elon Musk. It was just instead we get this, and it's a picture of Elon Musk like jumping at that one rally.
Oh yeah, when he was trying to make an X with his body.
Yeah. Board Chameleon, thank you for the follow. Welcome in. But it was I'm brain farting.
Have you seen?
I now have a parade in my ears.
Look at you go!
I gotta get back to working on the revised version of this.
Can you imagine? Wait, have you seen? I think he's Japanese, or maybe Chinese. I don't know.
It's about the guy that has where they like deep fake Elon's face onto him.
No. He just looks like that. I thought so too. He just looks like Elon Musk.
No fucking way.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. Oh my goodness.
Wow. No, he just looks like Elon Musk.
That's just a dude. I hate that. Yes, officer, what can I do for you? I'm sure both of us are totally sober right now. Right? You're sober, right?
I'm sober.
Okay, we're good.
Yeah.
What can we do for you, officer?
Drugs?
Drugs. We have no drugs, officer. You have nothing to pin on us. Ignore that, sorry. What's wrong? I have no, what were you looking at?
Nothing.
What's wrong, officer? What you looking at?
Oh, this is sugar. I was having a sugar donut.
No,
earlier.
This is flour that I borrowed from the neighbor.
My neighbor.
It's not mine. I borrowed it from my neighbor. That's where the police can find you some evidence. Oh God. Gotta keep the human spirit strong and vibrant for proper fabrics. True. Did you just snort a whole crate of cocaine? Oh my God, why are we getting more Night City music?
In Night City, what makes a criminal?
Getting cock.
If I need your body, I'ma fuck it.
I've been tempted to go back and play more Cyberpunk in my free time.
Same.
Hold on, let me double check. I forget. Did I re-download it?
Hi, Jax. Welcome.
No, I didn't re-download it. All right, chat's about to get their what's the
Their
word?
ads,
Yeah, their iPad time.
their vitamins,
Their vitamins.
the vitamins.
Vitamins. Master plan. All right. Where can I become criminal? You can become criminal anywhere. You can decide to commit crime. It's assigned, play Cyberpunk. Ah, shit. It would take me forever to download it, though. And Twitch would shit the bed the entire time. Where can I become criminal? Cemetery? What are you thinking, Carrie? Are we going back to grave robbery? Can we make that an occupation again? I feel like that needs to be an occupation again.
Grave robbery?
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't mind somebody robbing my grave if I was out of commission.
I wouldn't have buried myself with anything that was worth taking.
Yeah, same.
So it's like if I was like, oh, somebody's gonna come and steal the shit that I'm buried with, why would I get buried with it? Just let your family have it.
Yeah, fuck it.
Time to run off with water. Gannon, you're not big enough to carry a jug of water. Hi, monkey. How are you doing?
I feel like if you bury yourself with shit that people wants to steal, then that's on you.
True. I do like snooping around in old families' mausoleums and stuff. Just make furniture with my body. Bone chair, bone chair, bone chair. Halen Hayes, thank you for renewing your season pass with Bezos Bucks. Ads be gone. Remember to use your Bezos Bucks, chat. Otherwise, it's just sitting in Bezos's pockets.
True.
And you're not big enough to reach the counter? Yeah, but I have a step stool. What's your point? Just a little guy. Just a little guy.
Just a little fella.
Just a little dude. Up
Just
to no
a little
good.
Dude, just a little fella, chat.
Getting
What
into
the fuck?
trouble.
Oh my like fucking god, that's like crazy.
Oh my god.
Oh my fucking god, that's like so crazy. You're like just a little guy.
Just a little dude getting into trouble. Ah. Oh my god. What's the worst that could like happen?
Fuck is happening?
What's the worst that could happen? Followed immediately by the sound cue of pure chaos.
Holy shit. Is that like really who you are? Just like a little dude?
The step stool still makes you able to reach the counter. Yeah, I can reach the counter with the step stool. That's exactly what I said. Thank you for agreeing, Cannon. Anywho's it's. God damn it! Tries to get back at me. He tries to get back at me. Zeus! It's time to pay your child support!
No.
Does someone need a force field? Oh my god. I could probably make like a force field system for like redeems. That'd be interesting. It'd take a lot of conditionals, but it could happen.
I mean, you could probably do it.
I'll use it all the time. I was gonna say if there's be like a force field button that would basically just be like one thing. It would like counter one of the like model redeems. So like if somebody like was like give force fields, then it would be like somebody tried to like shave my head or something, and I could make it so that it would just like tink off of a force field. It'd be like a razor that like flies from the side and then bounces off a force field. I could make that happen. It'd be a lot of work, but it sounds funny as fuck.
I mean, you can probably do it if you use enough conditionals, and also you would probably need to use the overlay maybe.
Oh, the overlay would definitely be needed. I could make a faux throw with just motion and stuff. It would take a lot of like wait commands, shenanigans,
I mean,
conditionals.
you could just basically use the throw, but backwards.
Technically, yes. Goodness. Oh, my hair's back. I am the big eepy. I've been the big eepy since Sunday.
Oh my god, the big eep is coming from Marin Chad. What are we gonna do?
But it's like every day this week I've had to like get up without like a moment of where it's like, oh, I can just lay in bed as long as I want. But not today. Not today, it seems.
Not today. Oi, bruv. Have you paid your fucking TV license?
Did you pay for your fucking TV license?
Have you paid your tally license?
You got a license for that knife? You got a license for that razor?
Hey, bruv, you got a fucking tally license. You got a fucking
Why
tea
are
license.
these images messing up? It's okay. Those words are going to be replaced soon. TM.
TM, chat, TM.
I can't believe the carnival's dragging me out of bed each morning. No. It's been... I'm brain farting. That's how tired I am. I can't nap. I'm not a napper. I'm a go to bed at night bitch only.
Kind of same. I enjoy naps, but every time I nap, I feel like I'm just gonna be like, what if I just don't? What if I just lay here? Oh yeah.
What if I just laid here?
What if I just sleep?
What if I instead of taking a sleep in the middle of the day, what if I got up and ate something and then like did other stuff? And then when I get really, really tired late at night, I can go to sleep. And then I won't get enough sleep for the next day. And then I wake up early because I have to do things.
No.
And
what if, hear me out.
Genius, it's an infinite cycle of sleepish.
Yeah, but then you're always semi-tired.
It's bad. It's just like college again. I used to only sleep 4 hours a night in college. I'd go to bed at 2 a.m. because I'd be like playing games or doing homework or something. And then I'd wake up at 6 a.m. to go to a 7 a.m. class.
Man, this is not good.
I was taking 18-hour semesters. In almost every one of those semesters, I failed at least one class. Okay, I say at least. It was always just one. It was just one. Getting up to eat, impossible. Yep. Yes,
Man,
go watch
trying
more
to have a
Faye's
healthy
pant
sleep
videos.
schedule.
Go watch more Faye videos. I need to make a command for Faye.
Fucking mods, get to it.
No. We got time. We got plenty of time in this household. We were 2 hours early. There was things that can be done. Let me just sneak on over here, and we can do commands ungrouped. We're gonna go ahead and make a new command over here.
Woo!
And then we can do exclamation mark Faye.
Thigh.
Fway. And then where is the thing? Twitch, no. Twitch, yes.
Ma'am, I do not need a command. It's okay, ma'am. Ma'am, make the command right now. So while Marion is making the command, how are you, chat? Are you doing? Are you having a good day? Are you having a beautiful day? Holds gun to chat's head. Are you having a good day?
Answer the question.
Answer. Madam, please. Games. Hi, Grins. Welcome.
Grins! Okay. The Green Mother. What are you, a druid?
Is that my new thing now? It's Green Mother.
You're an elf druid. I
my-
knew it.
God, I keep forgetting about the fish game every time.
That people are playing it.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Are you having a beautiful day, chat? Are you having a nice day?
Okay.
Did you make the command?
Give me just a second.
I'm so proud of this community.
There's a tear rolling down your eye. So proud of this community.
So proud of this community. You're doing so well. You got this. Where's my... Oh, that's why I was...
Okay.
I was like, why is my my PC flaring up? I hadn't closed everything from stream.
Smooth.
Mm.
So smooth.
Mm.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Why is there...
I can and I will. I can't be stopped. I can't be stopped.
I hate it here. Why is there a command from me? What the fuck? Mods,
Because I'm clever and I'm
remove that message.
sneaky.
Mods, remove that message right now.
It's an
Take it away.
announcement. They can't. Only I can remove it.
Oh, fuck!
I win. I
I
always
hate it
win.
here. I hate it here.
Oh my god, it's Fotley May.
What if, and hear me out, we just delete that command? What if we just take it away?
Okay, you'll have to get access to my my mix it up. What you gonna do? What you gonna do, little elf? What you gonna do?
I'm not a fucking elf. The fuck?
Look at those ears. You are an elf.
I'm not an elf.
Then why are you so small?
Because you made me small.
I have no idea what you're talking about. That is the exact size you walked in here as.
You have made me small. You have the complete power to make me bigger if you choose to.
I did no such thing. This is actual size side chat. I have changed nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, this next time you watch a side stream, this is who you're bullying.
That's
This is also who you're letting dominate you.
just how it is. Chad knows what they're into.
Do we add it there in command? Ask again later? Haha. 8 balls on my side. All right, let me go ahead and change the category. And then chat will start getting that sweet, what you call it? Drops. Sweet drops.
Yeah. The sweet drops for Marvel Rivals.
But Sai, that means we can give good hugs to each other? No.
No. Can't do it. Sorry. I
Yeah,
swear
Sai
to
doesn't do
fuck
hugs.
this
Sai only does
fucking game.
suplexes. Hi, Rama. Rama, did you have a good 2 birthdays? Are you recovering? Are you taking a break today? You better be taking a break today. You're taking a break today, right? After 2 days of birthday streams, Cyplexes. Oh my god. Hell yeah, get something delicious to eat. And then think about all the horrible things your community has now made you have to do for your birthday stream. Good luck!
Isn't that just how every birthday stream goes?
No. I've set a lot of goals for previous birthdays, and more often than not, we only hit like the first like 20%. I think that's the furthest I've ever gotten. And I still think to this day, my first birthday I had on stream was the most successful. Granted, that was a 24-hour stream, midnight to midnight. And then I think the last two have been 12-hour streams. I'm doing pretty good.
Give them,
I'm doing
more
all right.
time.
I had to speed run a leg day at the gym today for one reason. The reason's right here.
Me! Yippee! Yippee!
I'll just be in the sad imp corner now. No! That's a Barbie house, Impy. That's just a Barbie house that you sit in. All right. All right. Are we ready to play games?
I'm in game!
Game!
I am in game! Hello!
All right. Let me swing right on over. Then do this thingamajig with the doohickey and the stuff and things.
With the doohickey and the stuff and things.
Yeah, doohickey with the stuff and things.
Doohickeys and stuff.
Yummy, yummy, yummy. Why am I like this? Why am I like this? Why do I do this to myself?
Uh,
There's Keyshawn and Milkshot just sitting.
Fucking.
Keyshawn, are you still hiding here? Are y'all both still hiding here? Are y'all playing on your own? I'm just making sure that y'all aren't just like sitting here waiting on us or something. Oh God. Okay, let me see. Am I gonna have to Frankfurt it up? I'll add Frankfurt to the queue. I was gonna say, because they came in, it's like, oh my God, are we playing Marvel Rivals today? And I was like, and then I just see them both online. Oh shit, wrong button. They're just chilling. They're just chilling. Wait, they already added. They already added like Human Torch and the Thing banners. That's cool.
That's cool. I like that.
Because you crave attention. What does that mean? I'll put a sign on it. Amazing. Frankfurter it up. Deal with that anticipation.
So I gotta play Star-Lord or Scarlet Witch.
Star-Lord or Scarlet Witch for what?
The achievements.
Oh. Oh, I've apparently done all the dailies. There's just a few missions that we did before. That's kind of incredible. Wait, what is... Join now? Oh, okay. So what do I need to do? But I don't want to play Mr. Fantastic! Gosh darn it. Gosh darn it. All right.
Oh. I can work on missions while you play Miss Fantastic. What do I gotta do?
Oh, it doesn't matter to me.
Okay.
If I can play hero, I'll play Sue.
Deal
if I could play healer.
15,000.
I said hero for some reason.
I can play as Venom on this one. That's fine.
Wait, that's a killer MVP. That's a killer MVP screen. I wish I had this skin. That's gonna have to wait for payday. All right, you good?
I'm trying to figure out if I should do missions or if I should do the fucking. Yes.
I'm sorry, I was in the middle of a thing and then somebody hit hardtack and I just devoted to it. It's just a gibberish stream. Could be worse. I could go back to the good old schmumber schmifney and schmumber schmee smuch medish. Smash me smump and schmumber schmee smurmur smumby smells smuch mungus.
It's so fucking weird how fast you can do that.
Sumpers of teen, sumpers things so excited, stasting zoom up and sumpers seem server if somebody else is so tungus. Cypers obscene, sumpers seem so excited. The hardest thing is sticking to your name because it just turns into Z's again. I can't believe how much of a fucking stud they made Mr. Fantastic in this game.
Honest. He's supposed to be a nerd.
This looks like a man you can actually rely on to save the universe. As opposed to just some fucking egomaniac on occasion.
True.
Here, where's the...
No.
Oh, there he is.
Yeah, okay. I need the Scarlet Witch.
Look
Or
at
Star-Lord.
this dude. Look at this dude.
I'm ready.
Mr. Fartastics. Oh my god.
I'm ready.
You mean read as much as you need, Richards? Wait, yo, that's classic. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was getting distracted. Game time! Yippee! It's the maker? Yeah, the maker. The one time Reed got cucked by his wife, and so he decided that he was going to make an entire world where he was the only hero.
Could make all the difference.
Also, let me know if I need to change the music or anything, guys. I'm going to play it where I can't hear it. Oh my god. Okay, I guess I'm doing a thing.
I feel like at this
Yes.
point, literally just, we shouldn't play to win. We should literally just play to do our dailies or whatever.
Okay, he changed the tank. That's fine with me. Wait, say that again?
We should just play to finish our achievements or dailies or whatever instead of just playing to win.
I can do that. Let me double check if I need a different healer.
Basically what I'm saying, Chad, we should throw.
We should fucking throw. Okay.
Just throw and get our shit and then we can actually play later.
Wait, take damage?
Only if you could defeat Doom and put the timeline back together.
Yeah, I still haven't seen the new map yet. So yeah, I'll stick with this. Oh, I forgot they reduced her movement speed.
Battle starts in 5,
They reduced the passive movement speed she gets.
2, 1. You have to stop them from securing the mission area.
Guys, they may have a strange.
I'm sorry, Spidey.
Did you get him?
Yeah.
Oh no, the healer got him.
Or healer got him, but whatever.
Oh, we got a magic and I can't ping.
Um,
Nice.
I do really like playing like Scarlet
Spider-Man
Witch,
incoming.
Where?
He's in the
Got
back.
him.
Feeling fantastic.
I love the suck.
Get his ass!
Oh,
Get his
you
ass!
fucking asshole.
Spider-Man's back in the
Spider-Man
game.
again.
Wait, what is that Spider-Man's name? Is it Gwen something? Hi, Fairbanks. Marble Marble? Yeah, Marble Marble.
Mibble Ribble. Oh. Oh. Oh.
I got you.
Thank you.
Uh-oh. Venom.
Oh,
Venom.
shit.
Ow. That's his
Venom,
ult.
stop it. Oh, wait, that's Reed. Well. Remember how I said we should just play to get our shit? Maybe we are just fucking goated. And I need to stop hating.
Okay.
Disappear!
That's an enemy one.
Against the world! It's much better.
That's gonna hurt. Get inside that if you're not already in it. Jeff Bathwater.
Damn! Not a single.
Oh, they got me. If you need an extra, could I join? We could do that. What have you been playing as? Keyshawn?
A guardian never gives up.
All right. I'm so far away.
Don't mess mess with the amazing
Uh-oh.
Spider-Man.
It's just the tanks.
Okay.
It's just the tanks.
Spidey unloaded his webs all over my face.
Get off of me, Magic. Oh, God damn it.
Shit. Fuck.
I don't know who they were fighting. I think it was Spider-Man, but I would have like the
Yeah.
Magic just has my number. Here, we'll do something else.
Light can heal and
Is-
light can harm.
Squirrel Girl showed up at the point at all. Has she been AFK this
No.
whole time?
Reed is fucking eating my ass!
You need to stop that vehicle in its tracks.
Impy, I will never pay to get my face webbed. I'm sorry.
You're the Hulk now.
Better stop that vehicle.
Jesus.
Wait.
Wait. Gwyn Quagmire. I hate that.
Let's get into some
What
good
a
trouble.
name to have! Holy shit!
Because his name is Glenn in Family Guy. It's Glenn Quagmire. Do you think he knows? Play Grat and Friends. Thank you for the follow. Welcome in.
Disappear.
I'm right with you. Oh,
I
nice.
hope he doesn't know, just because that would be funnier.
My time to shine. Against the world. Everybody needs a hand sometimes. My time to shine.
Okay, just a Squirrel Girl. So she is actually here. That's gonna hurt. That's gonna hurt. Jesus, that hurts a lot.
My time to shine.
Fuck! Oh, you're such a bitch. I need to eliminate
Feeling fantastic.
5 more people with my ultimate.
Oh, god damn it. God damn it. Let me tank for y'all. Hell yeah, milk shots. You are more than welcome to come in here and tank.
I'm back to shed some light.
I don't know, wait, I missed it. What did Keisha other everything? But Loki and Boot Knight are my boys? Okay, that's perfect. I am a-okay with the Loki. Oh shit. I'm trying, Sai, I'm trying. Gotcha.
I'll get you next time. Oh, I catch it feeling. Better stop that vehicle. My time to shine. Us against the world. Everybody needs a hand sometimes. Us against the world. Everybody needs a hand sometimes.
Okay. I'm kind of concerned that one of their DPS is about to ult out of nowhere.
Stop them in their tracks.
Well,
It's a squirrel, not me.
And I can't ping. I hate it so much because I'm so used to being able to like ping people when they ult so people can like turn to them.
so at least I can see who kills them.
Spider-Man.
Everybody needs a hand sometimes. Or a dagger.
Could say he's still up there somewhere.
No, somebody got him.
There's Magic though.
Only 60
Oh.
seconds left.
That was a weird behavior.
Well,
You owe me one. What am I? Invisible? They look
What am I? Invisible? Yeah. Kind of.
disappear!
Inside the bubble. Inside the bubble. No! Nice. Good ult. Good ult.
Spider-Man is like on my ass, no matter where I'm going.
against the world.
Final 10 seconds. My time to shine. Let's keep fighting until we have
Whoops.
I get my ult as everyone fucking dies.
Good. That's the best time to get it.
big victory.
Ah.
All right. Milk shots. Do you want to get in the Discord or do you just want to play? If you want, you can pop in the Discord. I cannot believe that Squirrel Girl just got MVP. That's bullshit.
Okay, let me check how many more. Oh, it is Scarlet Witch just take down 10 mutant enemies. I thought it was with ultimate. Okay, that's fine then.
Oh, okay. I know the achievement you're doing.
Yeah.
And then I think Milk Shots actually got off the game.
Hello.
Look at this
Ribble,
dude.
Ribble.
Look at this dude.
You came
Ribble.
in, you sounded just like a Mookie for a second. Hello.
Ribble.
Hello.
Ribble, Ribble.
Oh. All right, we got a cow. We got a tank. We have a designated tank.
Game
Let's
loaded.
go. Tank
Food in.
acquired.
Yay.
We have a designated homie
Let's
tank.
go.
Yes, a designated tank that won't be in the back lines at all.
Just watch as Thor go into that. God damn it!
I will definitely take the damage for you.
I have a feeling this is not gonna happen.
Yeah, you got, you know, who says trust your gut?
Are you opening the game again? Oh my god, we've been censored.
Yeah.
I can't heal you from a mile away, Venom.
Why is no one healing me? I'm just over here is all.
Oh no, I invited Carrie. No, bad Carrie. No, do not take that invite. Get out of here. Go back to your
That's so
PlayStation.
mean. That's so mean.
I said, it showed you logged in, and then it pushed you into alphabetical order, and I was like, "Fuck, Carrie!" It moved Carrie to the top. I'm sorry.
Pixels. Why do I look like a censored dick?
I was gonna say, yeah, the fucking whenever you're the cow, it looks like a shitty, like low poly cigarette.
Like a Minecraft torch.
Save to torch. I'm joined, but I'm bad. I thought aren't you behind on a lot of work though, Fairbanks? Is this what I'm gonna have to do? Is this anytime you think about playing games, I'm gonna tell you, are you finished with your work, Fairbanks? Are you finished with all those errands, Fairbanks? Have you finished all those errands, Fairbanks? Have you finished all those errands, Fairbanks?
Oh yeah, that episode of SpongeBob.
Yeah. Have you finished? Are you finished with those errands? Are you finished with those errands?
Finish with those
You
errands?
finished with those errands?
Finish with those errands? I don't even remember
Alright.
what it was about. I think you just want to
Everybody
hang out
ready?
with Squidward. Yeah.
I'm ready.
I mean,
I gotta keep playing Scarlet though.
did you finish your homework? We got the new one.
Ooh.
Hey, look, there's Moon Knight. Wait, you're supposed to be dead, Spectre.
It's a
Midtown.
multiverse. No, nothing actually matters.
I'm pretty sure this is supposed to be the Blood Hunt arc.
Ooh.
Because at this point, Mark Spector is supposed to get resurrected at the end as like a big Deus Ex Machina nonsense.
Ooh.
I got the DPS, yippee!
You get the TPS, it's so cool.
Oh my god, we're helping Herbie. It's Herbie.
There's a lot more story in this loading screen than there were in the last one.
There's Oscorp in the back. Oh, hi, Herbie. Just pushes the portal into view. That's amazing.
Rubble, rubble.
Oh,
Is a great
that's kind of
gift.
cool.
It must be used
That's
wisely.
Oh.
pretty
It's an
fucking
elevator.
Get ready.
Hey.
Oh!
Wait, are we gonna go
My
through the
spray.
portal or did you fall?
Look at me.
Yeah, you do have some fall speed whenever you like jump off from a
Okay, no,
higher.
there's the door.
The fantastic. God
they're
damn! Look
already
at the
here.
size of the thing. Look at the size of the thing compared to the rest of them.
The battle starts in 5,
Yeah, he's huge.
3.
Ah, wait! I'm all the way back here.
You're an idiot.
I was
gonna
admiring
say,
the
yeah,
map.
that was definitely gonna be all mines.
I don't know what happened. You expected?
Anyone willing to help?
Oh, there's a Mr. Fantastic here on the side. Oh, he's hulking.
Sorry, little spiders.
You need a little bit of healing. Please help. Please help. I need healing. Please help.
Well, nobody's healing. I'm sorry.
Gotta get rid of this Mr. Fantastic. Whoop.
Working on one part of it.
Yay.
Who's dead?
I think I just missed him completely.
I'm sucking the life out of him, but he's fucking
Their
running.
healers are really focused on him. Oh, they have a magic.
Whenever he turns into a rectangle, though, don't bother hitting him. He will just
He'll
reflect it all.
back.
Yeah. Oh, there's magic in the back line or
Gotcha.
sideline or whatever this is.
Sidelines.
The sidelines. And the weird green lady came to help.
I'm here.
And then I died. Listen, this is quick play, all right? Don't throw the match, but don't make a diamond in your asshole out of stress,
True.
you know?
But like,
It's not good for your health.
I'm out.
He's
y'all
bolt, he's
can,
bolt.
go with that. It's not my
Ow,
place
help,
to be.
help. Thank you.
You're welcome. Oh, hey, is
Ow.
that a Punisher?
Ow.
Let me just leap over this bridge and say hi. Oh, there's a Moon Knight. That makes a lot of sense. Of course he put me to sleep here.
The wind will only blow stronger.
Against the world.
Come on, Bucky. Ah,
Wait,
dang
is
it. I
that
wanted to
still-
push
Are we
him
still
into
in
you.
the same? Oh, we haven't made it to the checkpoint. That's why.
Business.
Yeah. So, Bucky, why are you so close,
Guess what,
Bucky?
motherfuckers? Sorry, Sue.
Spider
Let's
lady's
go!
being mean.
I didn't get her.
Vehicle reached a checkpoint.
There's an unk somewhere. We gotta break it. I forgot where it was. I just saw it.
Undefeatable.
I'm gonna die. Somehow didn't die.
That's the best part.
Avengers Tower is our destination. Shall we?
There's a
Oh,
Moon
we're
Knight
taking.
over here
Oh, okay,
still.
so we're taking the cart from the Baxter building, the Fantastic Four's headquarters. Oh Jesus!
This looks like an old fucking Universal Studios ride.
Watch those traps. I need healing.
It'll be fine.
HP on a dream. 8 HP on a dream. I'm sorry.
Howie.
Crazy.
I'm just like, gotta remember to get rid of this nest too.
All right. Okay.
I didn't step in it,
Behind
but
us. Uh-oh.
Ow, pain.
Pain Bucko.
Pain Pecco, Pain Pecco. I'm dead.
Pain Bucko, Pain Bucko! Oh, bye.
I'll go to where my symbiotes are wanted. I'm going to get pizza. Ooh, are you winning, y'all? Hi, Goofy.
damn, the spawn is pretty far away. Holy shit.
Oh my
Wait.
god.
Oh, this just doesn't lead to there. Okay, that makes sense, I guess.
Feel the thunder.
I should have got my achievement now as well. So I can charge.
I'm gonna die.
Wait, no, I can't.
Don't forget to get rid of those
there's
honks.
Honk. Yeah, he just appeared there.
Ow, pain.
Feel the wrath of the goddess.
What's up, shitters?
All alone.
I am fine with that. I was gonna say they're 3 down. Get in there, get in there, shitters. What
Is
are
that
you
the
doing?
is that it? They put the nest behind the wall and they can't hit it, so they die when they get in.
Storm is
Someone needs to
rising
take
again.
care of that nest.
The
Even though we
the
can't.
nest doesn't put mines. The nest puts bots.
Tomato.
Do some damage.
It does damage.
It does do damage, but
Someone needs to get rid of the fucking nest.
working on
Get
it.
rid of it. Someone that has rage.
I had got it, but it's fucking no one else is coming in. Again, though, there's not nearly as much damage on that nest as you think there is. You can
When
just
it gets
walk
stacked
through
up,
it. It is
does.
not that scary.
I have, as a tank, I have died to the nest alone many times. It stacks up a lot, Marin.
Oh, I didn't even hear your sound alert for that one go off. Help!
We are undefeated.
Look at all these mines.
You can't strike down a goddess.
Owie.
Speed is everything.
That's-
I'd
Yeah.
say there's no focus. The healers are just getting to do whatever they want.
Oh, I took down like 3 people. 2 people? Question mark?
You took down one with your ult.
No, I took down 2.
This
One with
spawn
the ult
point
and
is
one right now.
this spawn point's really weird.
Anyone willing to help?
No, not the Mrs. Fantastic.
Okay.
Us against the world.
I'm waiting for that miss. I
Wait.
have ult though.
I can't tell it if they have 2 Mrs. Fat. What? Is that just what the other blonde lady looks like?
No, there's 2. I think they have a Loki.
Oh, there's a Loki. Because I kept looking at them and like they look like the same person.
Do this? It's you, Herbie.
Looking dagger.
There's some HP behind you, invisible person.
Subway.
You got a moon looking at you.
You just kind of hanging out.
Yeah. All right.
Oh, this door is glass. Oh no, it's not. Why did it seem like I hit the wall?
Mine.
Somebody swapped a storm on their team.
The fire should do environmental damage so I can tackle people into it for funsies.
Oh, that would be actually so fucking cool.
Yeah. There's another nest right there.
Got
Ooh,
it.
Good job. Where Mrs. Fantastic go? Oh, there you are.
On you.
Yeah, we got this. Did they give us extra time for this map, or
No,
is
it's
this really long?
Really long. Ow. This card feels like it's pushing itself at times in like a lot of different sections. Like it just ordered
Yeah.
that like wooden ramp all by itself.
Truly ends.
Yeah.
Still shall be our champion this day.
Nice onk, I presume.
Ow.
Oh, where'd they
Oh,
go?
there's the Onk.
Ah,
Uh-oh. Hello?
what the fuck?
It just reassembled the building. Ow.
Ah,
Oh,
fuck.
hey, they got a storm up there. Hey there, Stormy. You want to fight?
I was too busy looking at the map. I was too stun locked by the fucking buildings reassembling themselves.
Yeah, that usually doesn't happen on these maps, I don't think.
I just haven't seen this map at
on the
all.
left side.
No, I mean the push maps.
Help. Help.
How the
Oh,
fuck
dear.
did Moon Knight survive that? I swear to God, you got 1 HP, bitch. Get back here. All right, he did. Man, y'all struggling. No.
Why am I fighting 2 tanks?
30 seconds.
They like you?
Looking for a new challenge.
Dang it, where'd the invisible woman go?
I just killed her.
Oh, she teleported away right before I killed her, so thank you.
Disappear!
Wait, there's another one? Do they really have Loki?
Yeah,
No, they don't.
it's like they have two,
They have
right?
two. Why do they have two?
One is a cloak and dagger, but every time I look at them, it's like they have two of them.
I swear I just killed
I
her.
don't-
I just killed the invisible woman.
We'll have to keep fighting until we have a winner.
What is this, Payday? What is this map? Whee!
Like honestly, it feels like Payday, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, the healers were a little rough.
That is a nice.
And a building
that.
turns to a kaiju? Oh, jeez.
That'd be sick.
Okay, Scarlet Witch done. Let's see what else I gotta do.
You're looking at the general achievements, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Man. It's a lot harder to backdoor on this map.
Trigger Stark
not good for
Sentinel's
Thor.
reverse destruction when eternal night falls on New York. Interesting. Crest. Urgh.
As Star-Lord, land 10 KOs with assist from Guardians of the Galaxy. Oh!
Oh. How do
Uh,
you change title? I just want the one title because I don't have one yet. Yay! Self-repairing buildings. Give, oh, I read that already. Yeah. Has cheese
Okay, I gotta
pizza.
play
Just cheese
Luminous
pizza.
now.
How old are you?
Cheese
what the
pizza.
fuck is wrong with cheese pizza?
It's basic. There's
And
so
agree.
many delicious toppings you can put on a pizza than just cheese.
Yeah. I always hated it whenever we'd get a pizza party during school, and then like all these kids would want cheese pizza because they're kids still and they don't have like different tastes yet.
Oh yeah,
and
my
I'm like,
sister would.
but
Sorry, go ahead.
put meat on it.
That's
I want
the
them
thing
both
my
to lean
sister
on
would
it.
do when she was young, though, is she would order a pepperoni pizza and then pull the pepperonis off. She would never order a cheese pizza. She would order a pepperoni pizza at our local pizza place when we'd go there to eat, and she would pick the pepperoni off. And we'd tell her every time, why don't you just get a cheese pizza? She's like, I don't want a cheese pizza. I want a pepperoni pizza with no pepperoni. What?
You want the pepperoni grease on it.
I don't like standard toppings for pizza. Then put other toppings on it.
What
Like, even if you're
are
having like one of those like
unstandard
six
toppings?
cheese pizzas or whatever they're called, like you can have the 6 cheese pizza, but slap some stuff in there.
Six
It's
cheese
so much
pizza,
better.
good.
I miss making
yeah.
pizzas. I could make
Yeah,
pizzas
one
here.
at Domino's now, the 6 cheese pizza. It's like eating a big fucking Cheez-It cracker piled with more cheeses.
Cheez-Its. Cheez-Its on my pizza. Damn, I can't
Yeah, it's
believe
like
the
the-
giant
it's like
Cheez-It
crust.
crunch wrap reached all the way over to Pizza Hut, and now we have a fucking pizza on top of a giant Cheez-It.
I should have. I didn't try the Cheez-It Crunch Wrap Supreme because I don't really care for Cheez-Its.
I dislike pepperoni. The beets are always trash. I'm not a fan of pineapple. I don't have caramel? Caramel? What?
Caramel.
what?
Olives and anchovies can go to hell, and they don't have
Pineapple,
mushrooms.
caramel
Also, it's Papa
olives,
John's. Stop
what?
going to Papa John's. Mistake
John's is
number one.
garbage.
That pizza's already
Papa John's
trash.
sucked.
It does suck. Papa John's has one of the most acidic tomato sauces I've ever had, and I've had a lot of pizza.
Yes, Gannon, you can have pizza, but it has to have toppings on it besides just cheese. Did I ever tell you about a fancy pizza slice I got one time at like a snazzy little grocery store that was back when I worked in New England?
Tell us about it.
So it was there's this snazzy little like grocery store that's right on the corner, also right on the water. So you go in there, and of course, it's like all these fancy like charcuterie accoutrements, like fancy tapenades, different kinds of spreads. Of course, there's like things of caviar you can buy and stuff in there. But they have a little cafe, and a couple of things that they do around lunchtime is they make a few pizzas. And I got a slice of pizza from this place, and it was prosciutto, crispy prosciutto, because they baked it with the pizza, arugula, and a couple of other things that I can't remember on it. And it was so good. It was so good, you guys. The prosciutto was perfect. It was like that little bit of
Jalapeno popper
saltiness.
pizza sounds fucking amazing. What the fuck?
It's pretty
Jalapeno
good. It's
popper.
pretty good in terms of like one of those like trash pizzas where they like slap a bunch of stuff on them and you're like, I shouldn't like this, but it's so good. It's so
Arugula
bad
is
for me,
really
but
good on
it's so
pizza.
good for the heart.
Yeah. Ugh.
All right,
Well,
everybody ready?
I'm
Yeah.
ready. I gotta
I'm
play
ready.
Lunasol. So
All right, you played healer
You're-
this
wait,
time.
You're in Europe, right, Si?
Mhm.
Maybe we should turn off Oregon servers, or is that where your
No,
side?
I currently
Yeah.
have Frankfurt selected,
Okay.
the German
is
server.
there
But no,
any?
No, I mean turn off Oregon because that one's gonna be like even
could do that, yeah.
further away than for European.
Yeah. Trash pizzas that are also good. Cheeseburger pizza with pickles baked in. I've never been a fan of those cheeseburger pizza nonsense that so many people seem to like. I had a
Funny
good
enough,
taco pizza. I made a good
Virginia
taco
was
pizza.
even worse ping for me.
Oh, wait, what?
Yeah,
But isn't Virginia
999 millisecond ping.
Oh,
Pick your
Um,
hero.
mm.
Or
well,
villain.
yeah, too late now.
Whatever.
It's fine. It just depends on where the matchmaking slaps us.
I like pizza burgers. Pizza burgers are yummy.
I can agree with that. Healer tank. Richard GPS.
I've never had a pizza burger before. What the fuck is a pizza burger?
They put a pizza on your bun.
It's basically
So, like-
no, it's not on your. It
Ah.
could be on your bun or it could be on your patty. It's basically like instead of having regular cheese, you put like the mozzarella and stuff, and then like some pepperonis on top of
Yeah,
the
a
of
little
the
bit of
burger.
tomato sauce.
Taco pizza fucking slaps.
It's
so
it's almost like having
fucking
like a chicken parmesan sandwich,
Yeah. Except the beef.
which I kind of want to do now. I want to go get like a giant loaf of garlic bread and just make a bunch of thinned out chicken parmesans.
Wizard.
I love chicken parm. I just hate it when you don't feel the parmesan in the crust. It's like
That's true.
this is the whole reason
I
I
mean, you
ordered
usually
it.
put a little extra on top.
Tower of Solitude.
Yeah, they put an extra on top, but I want it in the crust. I want that parm in there. I don't want it to feel like just a breast cutlet that I could get from anywhere.
The battle starts in 5, 4,
Hmm.
3, 2, 1.
One.
All you need to do is capture the
Yeah,
mission
taco
area.
pizza is really good when done right, as long as it's not a white people taco night pizza.
I am going to help
Hey,
fix it.
people taco night.
Side of bread and
Stale
fried
taco
shrooms.
shells.
Fried mushrooms are so good.
Ugh.
Did he just walk you off backwards? He just fucking styled on you.
He did.
Capture now.
My spatial awareness is not on point. It seems.
Oh, if I go into her bubble, it drops me to the ground. That's cool.
Oh, fuck off. I hate Punisher.
Yeah, I see y'all are dropping
Ow,
off
oh.
after I.
Wait, there's a Punisher
my
in the back. Okay,
miraculous-
let's do something else.
Oh yeah.
I wish BK would bring back the Italian. No! I wish Burger King died.
BK is fucking.
Yes, I. Why did you shoot
BK's
that?
gotten better, but it's not. Still not.
Here.
It-
Have a.
fast, oop, fast food will never be worth it anymore.
You need to teach me that Spanish even.
Oh, they're in our base. Oh, they're retreating from our base.
I was gonna say I'm dealing
The
a lot of
commentary
damage to
adds
them.
to it.
The end has come. But just for you.
How are you not dying? Yay.
Control C.
The Mr. Fantastic is really a fucking dick.
He's
Yes.
a really good character. I'm getting rid of these walls, by the way.
Oh yeah, he's a good character. He just doesn't have a lot of mobility is all. Plus thing, the
I was gonna
mobility
say,
the
this guy
man
has
has
the
to be
point
grabbed
because
on an enemy.
he's more defensive. His goal is not to get out. Oh Jesus! His goal
Yeah.
is not to get out and
Oh.
run. It's to just soak it.
Yeah. And grab anyone who's too far away.
Wait,
Oh, bolting.
wait. This Punisher is so locked on. Wait, what the fuck?
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Something's
Yeah,
not
he
right
is.
there. Hold on. I want to see. I wish I could see that
Your
again.
team's
I'm gonna
capture
review this
progress
match
past the halfway point.
after this.
You want to
'cause-
see if he's using aimbot?
No, he was jumping around and locked onto my fucking head.
I looked at the kill cam and it doesn't look sus, but
He was not. When he was shooting at me, he had it just nailed to my head.
Disappear. I don't know what that does.
Hi guys.
Oh,
Their healers are dead, by the way.
I believe you.
That's 3. Control these.
Now I'm dead.
Wow, 4 in a row.
The Quantum Mexican is whooping my ass.
The Quantum Mexican. I saw that earlier. Oh, there's Psylocke.
The Quantum Mexican. He knows all Mexican
She just
food at the
invis.
same time.
I hear her though. Oh, hi.
Captured more than half of the mission area. Keep going.
Watch out. We have a Psylocke in the back.
Not ready to perform quite yet. You need to teach
Oh,
me
you
that
fucking
skill.
asshole! You
Friends, gather around.
Come on, Punisher. Come on, Punisher. You want
Stay
to
on the
punish
point, stay on the point,
people?
stay on the point.
You want to punish people? Want to punish people? Come on, healer lady. Come on, healer.
Under my spell.
He's coming towards you. Ooh,
That one hurts. I suck. Here is
there ninja ladies trying to join the fray.
Ow, I'm in pain.
Oh,
Oh,
I'm
what
dead.
the hell? Oh, I guess. Wait, hold on. I want to see this kill cam. Oh, okay. He jumped on. He jumped up on the like little catwalk that comes up over that center tower, and apparently the pulse was high enough to get me.
winning, but you still got a chance.
Judge, jury, executioner!
You'll have to keep playing until we have a winner.
Coming in.
What the? My ult didn't even go off. That's weird.
I have no health. Wait, did y'all just get mowed down by Punisher?
Yeah.
How did y'all
Go around him.
go around? Yeah, everyone else went back to the space, the spawn, because I did. You have to just ignore Punisher. I know he's
If
intimidating.
you
wanna
can't kill him instantly when he ults, then just fucking go around him or wait him out in the thing. Because you can shoot at him from inside the point and he can't hit you.
I can typically take down an ulting Punisher, but I need at least some form of support.
I usually need to get next to him, but I couldn't get. He was too far
Yeah.
away from me.
Yeah, you got to get next to him. You can't be away from him because if you're next to him, it takes too long for him to face you.
None of them mention you. What are you lord of precisely?
Chat, you doing okay? You hanging in there? You getting those sweet, sweet drops? Gonna get that sexy, sexy Hella skin?
Can I get a F in chat for all of my deaths?
Battle starts
Can I get a
now.
69 in chat for
3,
sexy women?
2,
That's it.
1.
That's it. I understand. I
What a
understand.
good cause.
Area. Got it?
Oh, that means if we win this one, we have to go to the underground one, and I like that.
And all other words.
F69, the new NASCAR racetrack.
Oh, Punisher, you were
Okay.
already shooting? Jesus, help!
Yeah, Punisher wants fucking blood, dog.
He was. Oh, what's the word?
Be firing.
Yeah, he was like pre-firing like it was a Rainbow Six.
Looks like the mission area is yours.
My God.
Undefeatable!
I think I need to read into more what Invisible Woman does because a lot of like surprising amount of damage is coming from her.
Her E, which is the dome, deals continuous damage and pulls you towards it
Behind,
slightly.
on top,
My work
Punisher.
here is not done.
I mean, what
Hi,
the
Killian.
fuck is the name?
Now, a disappearing act.
Oh, I just wish I could.
Come on,
ping.
Quantum Mexican! Yay.
Get on
I'm
that
coming for
point,
you,
get
Venom!
on that point. Oh, hi. There's a Star-Lord back here.
Hey. Hey, look, a Punisher.
Don't forget to capture the point, guys.
The mission area is yours.
The healing lady wants me.
Success is ours.
Come back to the point, dude.
Uh-oh.
Come back to the point.
Uh-oh. No, what the fuck?
What happened?
Ah, they popped their fucking heads out and just one-tapped me.
Jesus, I got deleted.
Yeah, the invisible lady.
crazy.
Just doing something that takes like a quarter of my damage at once, and I don't know what it is.
Born from the chaos.
I don't think that. Yeah, that definitely was not ours.
Control lost.
Yay! Ah, I thought I just got in there just in time for the control.
Wait for them to come to us once we have the point. Stop trying to chase after them.
Venom!
Jury!
Oh.
Executioner!
Oh, here he comes. Here comes the
Hi, buddy.
man. Yay. Door's over here now.
It's just these guys. Go for the healer instead.
Yeah. The rubber man is a pseudo tank in a
Yeah.
weird way.
Control seized.
Need a little bit of healing
This
side.
voice lord is gonna kill me.
No.
Yeah.
You're shooting heals too when you're playing Luna Snow, dear.
Yeah.
I like the cold. Disappear.
Shit.
A disappearing. Control lost.
I'm gonna play the waiting game here. Oh, hey, give me that.
Progress has passed the halfway point.
Hi.
It's the grand
Hello.
finale.
Our enemies are near.
I need help. Asshole.
Where are you?
I'm right next to you.
I unleash the Vishanti's
We are undefeatable.
Ow.
So like, I would just look back and everyone's just kind of just standing at the core while the other
Uh-oh.
team just fled.
I have.
They weren't
Come in,
fleeing. They
Duane.
were both. They double heal ulted.
Ugh.
They've almost got it.
They've almost got it.
I've almost got it.
Controversial one at a time strategy. Working, folks. Neat.
But they have almost got it.
Yeah, but it would have been better just to wait for the rest of everybody else to show up than you just dive in like that because we weren't even at overtime.
But now no one's at the point. Period.
Yeah, because we don't have a tank.
You're supposed to still get in there for overtime regardless.
Well, if you were there, we would have been able to get in much easier.
Hey, what happened to the fucking? There's two tanks for a reason.
We have. Oh yeah, we do. We have Strange. Strange was still at the base.
Yes.
I was like, no, we don't. And I was staring at Strange. Wait a minute.
You had a
You guys
stream?
can still go in a point for overtime yourself. You can't blame on everything
I
on
can't
one
get
person.
in there when Punisher just shreds me.
Punisher's the least of your worries.
No, the
there's
fuck
other
he isn't. He
people
is
besides
number one
Punisher.
priority on my for me in that case. Killing the healer is my number one priority. Him
The Star
fucking me
Lord
up
has
means I can't
30
do
kills
anything.
too. The Star Lord was also doing things free reign. No one ever focused him.
Star-Lord was technically new halfway through that match, but I was trying to do my best to get him. He was trying to do these weird, what do you call it? I was gonna say roundabout, but that ain't the way.
I'm gonna try to
Backdoors?
play Star-Lord next because Luna was not my character.
Star Lord's pretty good. A lot
I
of
was
free
gonna say
reign.
all of Luna's healing is in her auto attack, so you're basically just always shooting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your freeze is really good. That's all I know.
the history match? Oh, Keyshawn. Oh no, Keyshawn. My baby. My boy. Oh no. Sai, you did more healing than Keyshawn.
Well, to be fair,
That's
I
okay,
was
Shrimpy.
literally firing the entire time.
I mean, yeah.
Oh my god, is
I
that
don't know what Keyshawn was
Shrimpy the tempura shrimp VTuber?
Oh my god.
Where's Faye? I need Faye. Shrimps is bugs. All right. Does anybody need to take a break or anything? Need to run to the bathroom or anything?
No, I'll do
Mhm.
like 1 or 2 more games.
Okay, because I need to run to the bathroom after this next game for sure.
Okay.
All right. Did you say the Oh, what was it? The Virginia was a really bad ping for you?
Now it's kind of okay-ish.
It's probably about as much as it's gonna get.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
We'll stick with it for now. Been here all stream just lurking. Wait, what are those Christmas light icons? Clip the halls. Oh. You're the first person I've seen that actually got that little award badge. Because I'm pretty sure you had to like clip a stream that had the like special tag. Ooh.
Oh yeah. I forgot about that special tag thing.
My order is sharp. My mind is sharper.
We'll do this. Wait, this is the... From being destroyed. Okay, so this is the... We're defending. Hi, Violet.
Defense.
Yeah, so we're defending the against the screaming goats.
I fought Oni, slayed demons. Coming in 30 seconds. Stay strong.
I wish I could pet the goats.
I am happy you are here, Susan.
That's like so crazy. Oh my god.
I think it's interesting that it seems like each character that can turn invisible has a different effect for when they are invisible.
Yeah. Some people are still there. Sometimes you see a little silhouette. Sometimes they just like straight up vanish.
I don't know. I meant from the point, also from the point of view of the person playing. So like, Sue is blue.
Oh.
Psylocke is still purple.
You need to stop that
Mhm.
I keep forgetting that I also meant to change my reticle.
And on
I
top.
don't know. I can't see what's being pinged. Oh, healing.
Up top. Venom.
But venom, venom,
He's down.
venom, 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 and Onk.
He's rezzing him.
He's
Oh,
been
I fucked up.
res.
Oh my god. I thought I had 2 dashes. Turns out I did not. Turns out I did not.
I'm back.
You did, in fact, did not have 2 dashes.
Step aside.
Correct.
Onk. Ow.
I still think it's weird that they made it so that the Onk does like, what is it? Is it in, what is it called? Up throw or something?
I have no idea.
It like throws you up in the air when it lands.
Yeah.
Up dog.
Uh-oh.
What a difference. Better stop that vehicle.
Better stop that vehicle.
Holy shit, I am so bad. Die, Rocket.
I believe. I double believe.
Is Groot chasing me? Nah, Groot's not chasing me.
Mind.
Okay.
Their entire team is so passive, except for those 2 people that we just killed.
Yeah, I just killed Punisher. Jesus.
Farewell.
This Rocket is just taking this beating like a man. Normally Rockets, tail and run because that's what they gotta do.
Ow, ow, ow. Oh, he's just standing there in the middle of us? I thought that was an ally.
Oh, that was a good play, Moon Knight.
My light.
Yeah. Gonna go get some good night fright. Also, hi, Albany. Brought out their Richard. Jesus, stop. It's a whole family of Richards, okay?
Bad.
Hello,
Thank you.
people.
Him
Hello,
screaming
ye
is always so
tankless
funny.
fake.
Uh-oh.
Fuck this shark up.
Chance to stop them.
Fuck that knight up. Yeah. Fuck this tree up. I hate nature.
That's better. What
Okay.
Fuck that Adam Warlock up. Come on, Adam.
You were healing? I just didn't like that
Come on.
Punisher. I just they basically solo ulted that Punisher. I catch one of these things lying around again. I swear to fucking God. Me, anytime I see an Onk just sitting there.
I swear to God, Adam Warlock.
No, I think of the scene from
I got you covered.
Whiplash. If I catch one of these things lying around
Yeah.
again, I will fucking demolish you.
Makes sense. Owie.
Hey guys, don't forget unks. What I really mean.
Help, please.
Break unks, break walls, break everything. What's gonna work?
Teamwork. I'm in a bad place. Send help. I need an adult. Thank you for the heals. Oh,
I'm sorry. There's none.
I got out of that one. You did fantastic.
Some would call me an adult.
60 seconds left.
Ouch. Damn it. The moon.
I'm just watching y'all play while I tell these goats to go backwards.
I was just saying, I was just watching you sit behind. Oh, Jesus.
We will prevail.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Oh,
Step aside.
I was gonna say, that's kind of why you need to be doing something.
No, it's more fun when I'm just in the back. Owie.
Executioner!
Yeah, I'm just gonna wait on that one. I'm just gonna wait. We're gonna play the waiting game. Oh, you're. Oh, I thought you went down.
I did, but I got rest because of a soulbound.
Oh, yeah.
I know so
the
bad.
passive.
Resurrected you.
The final 10 seconds.
That was a really good hold, though.
I like the new season. It's doesn't feel that different aside from like Reed and Susan are extremely strong.
Wait. Wait, the timer
Which, to
resets
be fair,
3
was,
minutes?
Like,
Yeah.
expected.
Was that always the case, or am I crazy?
I think it depends on the map.
Okay, because 3 minutes? God damn, I thought it was just like 1 minute or 2 minutes every checkpoint.
Yeah.
Ow.
There you
Ow.
go.
I'm shooting this
Why am I-
motherfucker.
I don't understand.
He's
Oh,
got
it's
the
because health is low. Duh.
They faded half lane. Stop them. Let's stop that vehicle.
Impressive. Come on, shark. I won't make sushi out of you, I promise.
A little help, please. Double KO.
Hi, Hulk.
They have a hole. They do have a hole.
Out of sight. Stop them in their tracks.
Oh, the Magneto bubble at 1 HP. Get out of your turret.
Fuck that hole!
Wait, what the fuck just happened? I like ran into him like he was a brick wall. Getting rid of those clones. Oh, bad touch. I don't think, yeah, he hasn't used it yet. Hi, Hulk.
Damn, Magneto doesn't even need to aim.
Oh my god, Groot! Groot's not putting up the walls! That's ours.
So I really have to walk this far back.
Only 60 seconds left.
I've just been standing on top of this fucking wall
Ow, pain.
and just like firing.
Executioner!
Yeah,
Watch out, back up, back up, back up, back up. When Punisher ults, you do not want to have an easy line of sight for him.
The Moon Knight's back coming through the door.
Ow, ow, ow.
A strange mystical object. Khonshu's gonna be down to 30 seconds.
Oh, Punisher on a turret.
Step aside.
Born again. My born again, I just
Again.
immediately cross spawn in and kill him.
10 seconds.
Oh my god, I got stuck on the fucking tram.
Fuck this shark. In particular. Owie. I need help.
We'll have to keep fighting until we have a winner.
Your powers are mine!
Oh fuck, that's
Your
Groot.
powers are mine. Then where are they mine?
Oh my god, I couldn't pull it back. I couldn't pull my right click back. Wait, why was our Groot so far back? You just get there?
We have a group.
I don't give up so
Yeah, we have a Groot.
Oh yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's the majority of the reason why I keep running face first into a bunch of things.
You're mine. Sayonara.
The classic. They put a wall on the goats. That's awesome.
I think it's the enemy Groot's one. What are you doing, Magneto?
Oh! Turret.
Oh, the turret can go up. Oh my god, that makes sense.
It can go up or it can look up. Ow, ow, ow. Oh my god! I can't see Moon Knight in the
I'm
clusterfuck.
coming.
Judge, jury, executioner!
We're going once more.
Oh, overtime, overtime, overtime! Come on.
You're mine. Sayonara.
I have ults. I do have ults.
I'm super close to having my ult. I'm gonna die. It's a problem.
We got swallowed. He Shark's almost dead, but he left the zone himself.
I gotta try. I couldn't melee him that one last hit. He ate his allies. We marveling over here? Yeah, we marveling over here. Marveling.
Marvel Ribble.
While I sit here and try to keep myself from freezing.
I can't believe the
Marvel
game
Ribble.
just skipped my victory screen. What a rude game.
No, it showed it.
Not for me, it skipped it. I didn't press no button, it just skipped it for whatever reason.
All right. I need to run to the bathroom really quick. Sai, was that your last one or do you want to go
Okay.
for another one?
No, that will be my last one for tonight.
Aye, aye.
Goodbye.
But it was fun!
Go have a good night. Go get a
Indulging me
drink. Go enjoy your Friday
streaming
night.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go rest. Bye-bye! Bye.
Later.
Bye.
All right. I got to
And
run to the
now
bathroom real
it's
quick.
Cal.
Milk shots. You're going to be in charge for a minute. I'm going to give chat their iPad.
I'm not a good daddy.
That's okay. That's why we have the iPad.
Okay.
All right. Good luck, kids.
Hello, fellas. How you doing today? Not freezing in this economy? That's right, boy. It's warm as a toast over here. What the fuck is that word? Someone say apple. I am of the opinion that names should not be a word that counts. Although I've seen that they count. But for some reason, Raphael doesn't count. There must be a fake word. I mean, fake letter. Heal. Wait, is there even two E's in here? I might be stupid. Helper. Wait, oh, the H is probably fake. Okay. La praline? No. Yeah, I don't know a word that has this many P, A's and E's, L's. A pair. What about a peel? No, it doesn't have two P's.
Okie dokie.
Oh,
I'm back. I'm back. Hold on. I must re-blink it.
relink what?
I have a blanket that I have like draped over my computer chair that I have to like pull back on because I'm cold.
Well, Marilyn go around is freezing her toots off.
Marin, go cold. Marin, go cold. Wait, y'all failed.
It was
Chat,
hard.
what happened?
There was a fake letter, and there were a lot of
And
repetitive
they got
letters.
bamboozled. How could this happen? How could you let this happen, chat? Here, let me bring milk shots in. Here we go. There's the dude. Up too high.
Behold, I am under the crotch lace. Is that what that's called?
Are you talking about Storm's fucking pants?
Yeah.
No, I just moved you in.
Her pussy shoes. I don't know what the
No.
fuck that's called.
It's just whatever was used to tighten up the pants. It's fine. Don't think about it too much.
It looks like it belongs on a pair of Converse.
I could agree with that. It's an interesting style of pant fasteners.
And also her zipper is unrealistic. If you look at it, the teeth are all perfectly mirrored to one another. They aren't one
Thank you
after
for
another.
playing, Keyshawn. I'm sorry if I was really mean. I get really
Mirror's
competitive.
always mean.
It's for ease of access. No, Storm does canonically. Storm does not fuck.
I don't know about you, but having to undo someone's lace to get in the pants is not ease of access, in my opinion.
That's
Especially,
easy
like,
though.
look-
She's not even double knotted. That's just pull one of the strings.
I don't know. I'm looking at that knot, and it looks pretty tightly wound. Like she squeezed the fuck out of it. You know, one of those permanent knots that you can't undo it no more.
I know what you're talking about because I have basically the same thing on my gym shorts. It's where I've like tied it and then I just never have to untie it. Instead, I just have to work it up over my hips.
Yeah.
I have to do the little pants, like the little wiggle to get my shorts on.
Yeah, because what sucks even more is getting the lace inside of the waistband and you can't get it out no more. That's even worse. Fuck me.
All right. Let's do this.
Yes. I'm ready to marble Ribble.
Marble Ribble. Where did the marbles
Sadly,
come from?
Ugh.
Mobile riddles.
Oh, fuck. Mobile
For
riddles.
Yeah, it's like X-Men.
Pick your hero.
That sounds like a good
I'm
app
not
game that
judging.
tries to like scam kids and making them think it's the new hot game.
It's Marble Riddles. It's a fucking mobile
Yeah.
game. And they use footage from this game to get people to play it.
So true.
Oh shit.
So, like, okay, there's been a lot of app games that are just games ported onto mobile, like League of Legends. There's been a lot of games copying just League of Legends, and
Oh.
they just make their champs look a little bit distinctly different legally.
Yeah, there was one thing that I remember that
30
is
seconds
I don't know if you
before
remember
your
way
turn.
back in the day. How do you play WoW, right?
No,
Have you ever played WoW?
Whatever bargain
no. What I experienced was the Cartoon Network commercial of the Panda DLC being, announced like every fucking
Yep,
few
every
months.
ad break.
And I wanted it, but I didn't know what World
Hey,
of
yo,
Warcraft
go healer.
was. And when I tried to look it up as a child, it asked me for my credit card, and I was like, "What?"
Ah, damn it. He fucking that person got kicked out and then he hard swapped to the fucking healer.
Got it?
He hard swapped to
Nice.
Sue.
when all seems lost.
But
Oh,
no, but one thing I've seen recently that's been happening. Why do y'all go up there? I will never understand why people try to start fights up here. It makes no sense to me.
the throne. I like the throne rooms as a fighting area.
Oh, they have a storm too.
Yeah, I do. I
mean,
wasn't trying to
spray the
ping that. I was
throne.
just trying to spray this. Yeah.
Mission area is yours. Attack now.
Where'd she go? Where'd that ninja lady go? I lost track.
It's just
of her.
Magneto right now.
Any healing is good healing.
A little extra oomph.
Oh, fucking God. Whoops.
Mission area is yours.
Whoops.
Oh, Thor has a little custom line when he goes on the throne.
Even small
This should be
victories are worth
mine.
celebrating.
But first, Loki.
Oh, interesting. Another
Yeah.
thing that I've seen. This is the thing that I was trying to talk about. So the thing back in like the early 2010s and stuff, that people used to do, or like companies used to do, fake games, shitty mobile games, is they would take
Yeah.
assets or pictures from World of Warcraft and use it to advertise for their shitty games.
That makes sense. Yeah. Owie. I've definitely noticed that people have like used a lot of the orc assets, like
But-
reused orc assets.
They've started doing it again. I keep seeing an ad for a game on TikTok and they literally use like some of the major cities, just like pictures of like Stormwind as the first one comes. They're like, Stormwind City, level 15 dungeon. Come check out our mobile game. And I'm like, I'd rather die.
You'd rather die. That's not nice. That's not good for your health.
I need healing. Please out. Healer?
Healer, a little bit extra dosage of healing, please.
Storm is rising again.
I
Oh,
don't
we only
catch
have
the
a
point.
single healer. That motherfucker came in and took DPS.
Control seized.
Jesus
Time
Christ,
I create
dilk
equilibrium
dickweed.
land.
Seriously?
Yay.
I am Asgard's might.
Apparently,
His
Storm
name's
thinks
Random
he can out-
Objects. That is a Moon Knight main if I've ever heard one.
Go, random bullshit.
Disappear.
Oh, I can't see nothing. Oh no, this is. Oh, this. I went into her ult.
Oh my
First,
god.
I was blind. I was petrified. Lost control.
Much to
Okay.
prove.
Come on, Huckleberry, you can do better than this.
Past the halfway
You're
point.
pinging us to gather to you, but you haven't,
A feast for my crows.
That's our Hella? Is it? That's not a voice line I've heard, but it was Hella. Okay, that's ours.
Is that our country?
Shield the wrath. Gets the water. Shields up. My time to shine. Healing 10.
Uh,
I was gonna say, yeah, that's Storm's old go again. She was taking her time with it though.
They've almost got it.
Oh my god, dude.
yeah. God, with so many fucking characters that fucking turn invisible, it's so hard to fucking keep track of them when they're all on the team.
I'm going back to Storm. We were winning whenever I was playing Storm.
We were winning that team fight, but it isn't until they respawn that everyone just kind of crumbled. I don't know why.
We have a winner.
Gonna guess that
Nobody's gonna
That's
get. Oh,
what's your
Moon
name?
Knight's on it.
oh, we only have one healer. That's why.
Well, yeah, I just swapped off of it. That's what I was saying a second ago. Because the motherfucker who came in and was the last one to pick was like, no, I'm going Moon Knight. Ugh.
Bruh. Don't stress, man. When this is quick play, you know when you should be stressing? Competitive. I got into gold 2 last season. I wanted to go for platinum because apparently you don't unrank if you get to plat. But I couldn't.
What do you mean unranked?
Bullshit. So at the beginning of the season you go back to bronze 3. So apparently you drop just the silver.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Because you usually go down 3 divisions.
That makes sense. I would have liked that to not be in bronze elo hell. You know what I mean? But yeah.
Then you should worry about Loki, not me.
But I give you storm lightning.
The battle starts.
Oh, you're gonna play
now.
healer? Okay.
Well, yeah, because nobody else is gonna fucking go it.
2, 1.
Yeah.
All you need to do is capture the mission area.
Our DPSs aren't doing that hot of a job. I've been the
Yeah,
one who's been
you're
killing
the-
their
you're the
healers.
current ace.
Just listen for the
Yeah.
sound of thunder.
If you're gonna be a one trick, the time to be a good one trick. Don't be this Moon Knight.
Yeah. Oh, here's the Mr. Fantastic and the Ninja Lady.
Get back down here and let me heal you.
He grabbed me. I went up there for a vantage point and they just happened to be up there. It's called a coincidence.
Capture the mission area.
Oh
And
my
I was helping. I'm
god.
the only tank. Yeah. You see, this time it's a different story scenario. I am the only tank.
Well, no, you've been the only tank.
Mantis has returned.
Get caught in a web of lies.
Oh my god, I can't even heal through their damage.
And Mrs. Fantastic was the only one that was there. But
No,
she still
Storm was
wasn't
above
either.
you.
No, I meant our Mrs. Fantastic. like she was, she was there, so she could have been healing me.
I'm blind.
Oh my god. Oh, okay. Didn't reflect my God of Thunder Slam damage at least. Thank God.
Just go on that
Well,
point.
good job on the back capture. Oh, but someone interrupted them. It seems.
We're back on it.
Your team's capture progress has passed the halfway point.
Man, I really can't outdo the fucking bulky Mr. Fantastic.
Even small victories.
Oh god, they're all up here now.
I was gonna say,
have weird
Psylocke
priorities.
can't out damage the can't out damage the Sue ult, which is so funny. You need people that have like instantaneous ults.
The Sue ult. Oh, the invisible
The
one?
invisible zone, yeah.
Okay. Oh,
That's the only way. The only way to outdo a Sue ult is if you basically like Iron Man ult can do it. Iron Man ult and Scarlet Witch ult can do it. Anything else, I'm pretty sure cannot kill the people.
God.
Oh,
That
God.
fucking the Mr. Fantastic square is great at stalling. I don't know what to fucking call it when he turns to a goddamn Pop-Tart. All right.
Yeah, he reflects damage.
Yeah. Takes no damage and then he'll reflect it back at you at the end.
God, invisible Sue popping out on you is kind of scary.
Did you just see that that not cloak the
All right, there's her.
the
I'm
Moon
out.
Knight? He just descended down from the tower slowly facing an ADC of theirs.
I'm trying to heal you. I can't.
I believe in you.
I used all
well,
of the
three of them.
fucking animation.
Feeling fantastic.
Dog, it might be a lost cause right
It
now.
is a fucking lost cause. This Moon Knight can't do shit.
Moon Knight, you don't even have to get in their faces to do stuff, right? Like you could just go pop down some onks.
We had
while
another
they're
Moon Knight a couple matches ago that was like that. Anytime he would go to use his ult, and you know how like he holds the onk over his head when he goes to ult.
You'll have
Yeah.
to keep fighting
He
Yeah.
would always run in, and I would see it. I would see it in the cam thing. He would keep the reticle right in front of him, and run in and point blank ult people.
mission area. Keep going.
Here they come.
I've got you covered.
Hi, Sue.
Going to explore the
I can't even ping. Oh my god. I need to
Or
just
Magneto
deleted our
gun.
Black Widow.
Oh my god.
Storm's up on top. Oh my god.
Why is Fantastic go all the way over? Oh,
'Cause
for the
he's chasing
healers.
me.
That makes a lot of
He's
sense.
chasing the healers.
That's a good Mr. Fantastic.
new perspective.
He'll bring it back down. Yep, exactly.
You'll have to keep fighting until we have a winner.
Ah, god damn it. Mr. Fantastic is already gear 4.
That's
Yeah, this is wrecked. This is over.
she ulted me.
Gear 4. Bound to man.
Yeah, it is playing a Persona song. Ugh, I fucking hate.
Well, you
I
can't win
hate
all of
Moon
them.
Knights. I like Moon Knight as a character, like he's fun to play, but the fucking people that
But
come
they're
in and are
pretentious.
just like, no, I'm playing Moon Knight. Can you?
Like,
You were the last
just
guy to
looking
pick.
at him,
No, I'm
he-
playing Moon Knight.
Yeah.
Where
Big
do
Boner.
you fucking get off?
His name is Big Boner. Amazing.
Oh damn it! I hit click to highlight on you.
Yes, watch my greatest moment. It's probably one where I die.
I think most of our greatest moments would have been wins when we die.
Yeah. Never touch heels
Who the
again,
fuck is
Invisible
Dub
Girl.
Dub? Oh, Dark Dude.
It's yeah. Oof. I mean,
I was
oof.
gonna say I had just over the same amount of healing as her, but I spent far more time dead.
Yeah. There's were a lot more alive, more often.
I had more final hits than Moon Knight and more kills.
Moon Knight. Moon
How's the
Knight's
gaming?
hard.
Do you want the honest answer? It's terrible. It is downright terrible.
It's quick play.
I think it's
Bunch
because
of
so many
new
people are playing now that it's the new season and there's
newbies.
the new heroes, but it
Yeah.
feels awful.
That's the thing with casuals, right? That play game, they pick up the game again once the new season starts or whatever, and they're like, all right, my interest has been reinvigorated. Meanwhile, me over here sweating the past 10 days.
Please, please, I beg you.
Please, someone carry me to plat. I'm tired of being in gold elo hell.
I haven't even made it to gold just because I didn't have enough time. Also, thank you for the 10 stream street berserk. But no, it's just that usual like new season ick. And like now all the casuals and stuff are coming back. And because of this game being a superhero game, of course there's those people you get that are like, I'm gonna play my favorite superhero. And that's all I'm gonna play. Fantastic.
If a motherfucker
Fantastic.
doesn't have the gold black Moon Knight skin and they main Moon Knight, chances are they were not a good Moon Knight. That's what I'm gonna let you know.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Like if your main is Moon Knight and you don't have the skin for Moon Knight for season 0 that you need to get by doing well in ranked, you probably weren't a good Moon Knight. So that's the first sign. Base default skin Moon Knight, nah, that was a free skin. Get out of here.
That was free skin. Get your ass out of here. Or even just having the Mr. Knight skin.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for them to make Spider Zero a Spider-Man skin. I'll main Spider-Man after that.
You didn't have time to do comp. If you didn't have time to do comp, that means you also didn't have time to get good. I'm sorry. But competitive play is very different from quick play. I dominate in quick play, right? I get MVP so much. But in competitive, that's, the scene changes. You got to be tank more. You can't go around killing for funsies all
I have
the
to play
time.
like far more precise when I'm playing
Hear my command.
I'd like
Competitive.
yeah, I have like fucking lock in. Good night, Ordained. Sleep well. Thank you for hanging out. Give me the ultimate spider ham. It'd be
Spider
interesting,
ham.
but he's legitimately so much smaller than all of the other Spider-Men. He would have to be his own character, and sadly, I don't think I see that
Or-
happening.
30 seconds before you
Make
attack.
him a penny skin, and he's inside the suit.
That doesn't make a lot of sense, though.
You control
Why not? Just give him a portrait robot.
Odin's long-lost daughter?
But that's not his thing. Like that would just be
Yeah, it's not
forcing him
his
into a hole.
Yeah, but then you just have this one weird character. Wait, I mean, what would his powers even be? I summon giant hammer. 5.
3,
I don't know.
2,
I don't know. I haven't seen the animated Spider-Man series. Hi guys. I think I did just see a Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a squirrel girl.
You haven't seen Back to the Spider-Verse or whatever the fuck it was called? Dang.
help get that
What, are you waiting for the last movie to come out?
Oh no, I just haven't bothered because I've been so disappointed with Marvel.
Well, I mean, this is Sony Marvel, not
True. I've heard
Disney Marvel.
it looks good and everything. I just haven't had like the energy to do it.
It's good. Like, I believe you and me, it's good. As someone who's been immensely disappointed by Marvel post Endgame.
Okay, I got their read. I got blinded.
Where Invisible Woman go?
She went up the thing. Come back to the point though.
How can you tell where she went? Like, he literally just vanishes without a trace.
Courage, Spider Zero.
Because she probably wanted to get away from me rather than coming near me because I was popping things, so.
Whee! No, because she was about to die.
Gonna say, stop hitting the Magneto, start hitting the other person.
I will always lend that.
He's
us against the world.
That is their ult.
Invisible.
oh, don't get in the shadows.
Yep.
That's what I've learned apparently.
Oh, it hits like a truck. It'll whittle you down stupid fast. But the fun thing is I have this! Oh no, they got me!
You have someone in the back line over there.
Heal me, damn it! You're supposed to heal me through that! Wait, do we have
Are we the
healers?
only?
Oh no, we do
Wait,
have
why
healers.
am I the only one on the point?
You can't strike.
I was on the point, but I got sniped off of it when I tried to ult.
Everyone else is just focusing
Why
on the
are you
back
so
line.
far back?
Speed is everything.
Well,
Oh, Magic's chickening out on me. I was trying to help her.
did this person really just get swirl stampeded from a mile away?
Yeah, it bounced. Now when it hits a wall, it actually targets the nearest person to it.
Yeah,
Better test this
I know, but it's still not that hard to dodge. I feel.
Healing, where's the healers?
The armor's still fantastic.
They're fucking about.
Just in time. Is
Lovely.
rising again.
I keep having to fucking run all the way back.
I've always been a heavy hitter.
Oh, what the fuck?
Disappear!
Any healing is good.
We better test this out.
God, I keep underestimating the distance on that fucking blind.
Happy to help.
This car sucks. Oh, he's pretty great.
Ow, ow. Whew. Coming in. Oh.
Courage, fighter hero.
That's 3!
Okay. Jesus. Oh.
The vehicle reached a checkpoint.
Thank you, Sue, for healing me. Who is? Oh. Oh. Okay. I don't know why the Sue dropped her thing, her bubble there.
That took like 2 minutes more than it needed to, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, we were pushing that super well, and then all of a sudden it just fucking something
Everyone
happened.
just fucked off for some reason. They just wanted to play somewhere.
Didn't see that.
And this guy's blaming it on the character.
That's
the brand new
Cloak and
character.
Dagger. Trust, welcome in. Nice eyes. Well, thank you. They're gonna get better in the future.
No,
Oh my god, that chain lightning. Thank you. He has no health, so somebody can get the hit in on him. Got him. I hit him in the foot.
oh, you had him die. He died on the roof. That looked so funny.
Squirrel. Oh god, help.
I hear someone over here.
Balls. Cannon. Are you liking Storm? I like Storm. I played Storm before she got all her buffs, and I would have kept playing Storm even if they didn't change her. She feels really good now. The thing that I hate right now is now there's so many people that
The vehicle reached a checkpoint.
Wants her.
they either want to play her and then they do poorly, or the enemy team ends up having a good Storm.
Easy.
They couldn't weather the storm. Any healing is good healing.
Go ahead, put it down, put it down. Watch out for Hella up there. I don't think she died. Why did she? There she is. Okay, I was like, she disappeared. But I didn't see the animation for Cloak's ability.
I'm gonna be honest. The Snow Lady and the Fantastic Four Lady look so alike. Their color palettes are almost
Yeah, they're
exact.
both
It's like a
just
different shade
white
of blue
women in skin tight suits.
with white and blue color palette and blonde.
Ah, shit. Sorry, somebody came knocking at the door.
It's cool.
Hell, this is my open pad. I just became a stationary target for them.
Ride the winds.
Stay on the point. Stay on the point. Stay on the point. Stay on the point. It's not.
She's ulting though.
Well, no,
Gotta kill her.
I just saw whoever was on the point was just running away from it.
Oh,
Any healing is good healing.
I wreak
Not in this household. I've yet to try Storm at all. I've only been playing Moon Knight and Adam Warlock. It's okay if you're bald. It's easier to head pat. Yeah, you would like that, wouldn't you? Hey, suck it, nerds. Yeah. Sometimes it's really hard to get MVP with Storm.
I mean, with these buffs, I'm sure it'll be a lot easier.
I was gonna say I had the highest damage in the game. Jesus. All right. Wow. Oh shit! I forgot to calm. I forgot to calm. I forgot to accommodate.
Accommodate?
The little things under the people's names give comms.
Oh, thumbs up.
I really want to play Ultron when he finally comes out. I can agree with that. I think he's gonna be neat.
I feel like Ultron's probably gonna be a villain first, and then be a playable.
I can see that. But then in that
although
case, I would expect to see Doom sometime soon or Dracula.
Yeah.
But right now, there's literally nothing in the files that hints at Dracula becoming playable.
Dracula better become playable. But I mean, for Doom's case, he's like the overarching villain and hero at the same time.
It's both. They're both Doom. Both of them fucked up,
Yeah.
and both of them are both the hero and the bad guy, depending on who you side with.
Yeah. If this Doom didn't do this, we wouldn't be in this situation. No, if that Doom didn't do it, we wouldn't be in this
rivals
situation.
Doom. I fucking love that little short trailer where it's the two Doom facing off against each other.
Yeah.
Because it's Travis Willingham yelling at Travis Willingham.
At first, I thought the plot was these two Doom now team up. No, that's not the plot at all. That's
They both think the
plot
other Doom is a fucking idiot.
Yeah. You're a moron. No, you're a moron. It's like the finale of Phineas and Ferb, where Doofenshmirtz met the superior Doofenshmirtz. Amazing.
I guess. All right, ready?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no tank that really interests me either, Cold. I need to have that little oh, this character's cool. I like their kit. Okay, I'll get good at them. But none of the tanks do that to me.
I love Thor. His gap close is so good.
You'll need a top-notch
He's such
team
a
to
bully,
win.
right? And because he's such a bully, it makes me a target for everyone, which is what a tank deserves, in my opinion.
This is the escort one.
Is sharp. My mind is
Bayonetta. That's not how you spell Bayonetta. At least I'm pretty sure not.
Bayonetta. Niet.
Bayonetta.
Niet, niet, niet. All right, I'll go
No
healer.
joy playing
I'll go
Iron
healer.
Fist.
Let's
That sounds
go.
about right. Ooh, Profane Warrior.
Oh,
Come on, Profane Warrior. Go
Here.
triple healer. It's casual.
Profane,
Let's
you
do it.
want healer?
You want Lokai?
I will swap.
If Lokai. Does Hela need a kill to revive individually Thor
Yes.
and Loki, or does one kill revive them both?
One kill. Actually, I don't know about that one.
Okay.
I've played
I think
with
that's-
both
that-
a Loki and a Thor before, and I've gotten it off, but I just don't remember.
If it was
which it is.
simultaneously or not. Because I remember me and Loki have revived at the same time before, but that could have
Okay,
meant that she just got 2 kills at once.
Battle starts in 5.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know for sure actually.
3, 2,
But there's only one. It's only you, so you. Oh, watch out.
All you do is capture the mission area. Got it?
I swear to God, if I see any dead symbols. Oh, hey, it's Mr. Invisible. Hey!
I like the cold.
I think he teleported them to the back of the
There's a
map, or-
Wolverine here.
Here, come back out here. Hey, buddy.
Wolverine's running. He's
already
running.
dead. He's dead. Oh no, that was Mr.
Oh,
Fantastic.
no. Yeah, Wolverine ran over there.
All right, Bruce is down. Wolverine's behind you.
As expected, he is a tank killer. He would want the tanks.
That's 3.
Anyway,
Mr. Fantastic! Oh, he's Mr. Bombastic.
Mr.
That's a
Bombastic,
fantastic.
fantastic.
Oh,
It's even funnier because you're the one of the cows from fucking the barnyard.
Oh, yeah. It's such a good movie.
Mr. Bombastic. Biggie
Someone
Cheese.
save me! They're violent towards me. I wonder why.
Hulk's already down. How? I'm in pain. Send help. I need an adult.
Where the fuck did he go? I know you're made out of rubber, but you shouldn't be rubber banding like that. Anyways.
Proud of yourself, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A nice deep freeze.
I will always lend a hand.
That poor Loki.
Ready to do some damage.
That Loki skin's so cool, though.
Sly god you are, Loki.
We shall use no
Halfway
essence
there.
as a weapon.
Keep going.
So who's Null? Is Null like the
Null
leader?
is the
Venom?
god of symbiotes.
Oh, is like a literal god, or are they
Yes,
like
he is a
just
literal
something
god.
they see as a god?
He is a cosmic deity.
Oh. So these symbiotes come from a god.
Yes, they are all
Is
part
he
of him.
divine?
Yes, that is a big part of the Venom War plotline.
Mm-hmm.
Feel the wrath of the goddess!
It's the grand.
Oh, the Clintar plotline. That makes
Yes,
sense.
exactly.
Okay.
Ready to do some damage.
Hammer time.
Your powers are mine!
Mr. Die. Ah, Hella's trying to snipe me. Help.
I was gonna
Owie.
say,
Happy to help.
Oh, hey. That my Hella revived me.
it did
Yay.
res both of you. It did res both of you, which is interesting.
Yay.
You know what? Oh, Luna, heal me. Heal me,
That makes it a
please.
lot better then. A lot less stress on the Hella.
Oh, that was weird. I had like
Fantastic.
let's say he's the only one that's currently outside of the point, so just bully his ass.
The Wolverine's also back there. So y'all be careful.
It's okay, I'm right above you.
Ready to do some damage.
We shall use Null's weapons as the essence. I mean, essence as a weapon. What does that imply exactly?
What is what? Essence?
What does using the essence as a weapon imply?
By the
Oh, we got a Wolverine on our healer.
toe.
Oh shit, that actually got me. I'm down.
Don't let anything stand in your way.
The Clint one now Clintar. Clintar. That is the name of the planet we're on. That's this map.
Yeah, you know how far it took us to find the Clint?
Can't strike down
Tar?
the goddess.
Hella just ran all the way back to this spawn room.
Why is everyone so back?
I like the cold.
We gotta wait for everybody else to spawn.
See that? Enemies better beware.
I was all alone.
Well, we died. I got messed up by that strange ult.
Get that vehicle moving.
That makes sense.
Hi, Wolverine. I'm with you.
Someone help me!
He's dead.
Yay, thank you. Yeah, Thor can typically 1v1 alone until people start picking up Wolverine. That wasn't the case no more. Oh,
Guys. It's just
Mr.
strange.
Fantastic.
I need healing! Luna! It's just a Venom! Walk forward! Fuck!
I will not make the same
Luna has the
mistakes
longest range healing in the game.
was he opening a portal?
There's a Wolverine coming up behind you, by the way.
And there's a healer lady over there.
I will always lend a hand. Bring on the chaos.
Oh, Mr. Fantastic.
Yep, he's here by himself.
Damn, when we all just focused on Venom, that motherfucker melted.
Oh yeah, he'll go down. His what is it? His like little
Armor.
yeah.
A nice deep freeze.
That's
Yeah.
not a good ult spot. The fun thing too that you can do with I think he's still
Ah,
he's still
goddamn
mine.
Wolverine pushed me out of the circle.
Oh, how did that not hit her? There we go.
I will always lend a hand.
Ready to
Get this Storm out of the skies. Storm is a menace. I want pictures of Storm.
He's a goddamn menace, except they forgot that this was an objective and I just got to get on the objective and push it in. Yippee!
Yay!
Get avocadoed. Hey! Everybody's now I can't wait to get flack for everybody being like, you're just playing because Storm's good. No, I was like, nah, bitch, I've always played Storm. Storm was the first character
Yay.
I played.
I am Thor, Odin's son.
I wonder if at some point they're
Really?
gonna give Thor an old Odin son skin.
Oh, then wait, what is that?
So in the comics,
Like
there's a
dressed up
point
as
where
Odin?
Thor loses his powers as Thor, which is technically the point where Jane Foster is supposed to get Mjolnir.
Mm-hmm.
And And instead, he still like stays on as like an advisor for the Avengers and stuff, and still has like his kind of like godly physique and everything. And he sees himself as not worthy of being Thor anymore. So the entire time he's a hero from that point, he's kind of depressed and trying to prove himself as Thor.
Is this the plot of Thor: Love and Thunder?
No, this is the comic book one. Love and Thunder is more like a crunched up pseudo version of that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very different because Odinson also ends up
crunched
becoming what is it? All-Father Thor. At one point later on, he like takes over as once Odin actually dies. Because eventually
Odin was
Odin
already
dies in the
dead.
comic books, and Thor takes over as the head of Asgard. And there's a point
Yeah,
in the series
king.
where Asgard moves from being in like its own realm to being a massive floating realm, just like off the side of the moon.
Oh. Well, I mean, they did have to evacuate.
Yep, that's where they go. They build another one right next to the moon.
On Earth?
Yeah, the Earth moon.
Dang. They really moved close, huh?
There's also the in the X-Men comics right now. There's the island of Krakoa, which is like a mystical, technically mutant island that like allowed them to live there and stuff. Blah 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 blah. A long story short, they eventually kind of fucked it up as a whole. And so the Krakoa arc is like coming to an end in the X-Men comics now. So everybody's curious like what's going to happen with mutants as a whole.
Isn't that X-Men? Or
Yes.
X-Men mutants?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So X-Men mutants are people born as mutants, right?
Yes.
All right.
Then there's
Very
the
important
Inhumans, which
distinction.
Marvel has essentially like fucking evaporated. The Inhumans basically don't exist anymore, which kind of sucks. Because like Miss Marvel, the like young Kamala Khan, is an Inhuman. Black Bolt is an Inhuman. There's Medusa. There's even a dog that has like a little radar on his head that is an Inhuman, and he's kind of cool. It's weird to call him Inhuman because he's a dog. It's not like a person turned into a dog. He's actually a dog. But if I'm trying to remember his powers. I think when he barks, he makes portals.
Oh, that's cool.
I think that's what his power was.
X-Men start coming to the MCU this year. I mean, that's because of Deadpool, right? The Deadpool and Wolverine movie.
Probably sort of ish.
I believe in. I saw the movie, and they were heavily implying it. I'm pretty sure that they were like, Wolverine, you're about to be in a much bigger cinematic universe and shit like
I thought
this.
he was. I remember because before this show, he was supposed to be done playing Wolverine. But apparently, I remember seeing an interview, and not Heath Ledger. Why did I say Heath Ledger? Hugh Jackman admitted that he was convinced, and then he saw exactly like how fun it can be and how much he enjoyed it with the way that they like allowed him to portray the character. So if they let him do what he wants, probably in the future he'll probably keep playing Wolverine.
Probably.
So Stan's work is being changed. There was more writers than just Stan Lee, right?
Yeah. Comic books have gone through many changes. They
have to keep making more storylines. They keep progressing stuff. So of course, even though Stan Lee is like passed away and everything, they still move forward with the stories. There's new writers. There's new artists. Everything's new.
In my opinion, I will only judge on something if it's bad. Like people are complaining about that new Harley Quinn cartoon where she's like chubbier but a lot more evil. When in an orange suit.
You're talking about the one that's the Harley Quinn focused with it's like her, Poison Ivy. Yeah, that's actually a really good series. I've heard and seen some scenes that are really funny.
No, not the cartoon show. You're talking about the one where they're like in the old DC art style with the short weird guy, Shark Boy. Wait, is it Shark Man? No, Clayface and.
Are you thinking of the Suicide Squad?
Is that Suicide Squad?
Yeah.
That might be Suicide Squad.
Oh, I think you're thinking of the anime one. The anime that came out recently. That's like Suicide Squad Isekai.
No.
Because Clayface is part of the Suicide Squad in that series. I haven't seen it. I've only seen
Harley
bits
Quinn
and pieces
thing.
here.
There's a new Harley Quinn thing where she's in like her old classic suit, but instead of it being red, like poker themed, it's like orangish, and she's chubby in it.
I have no idea what you're talking about, dude.
Let me see if I can find it.
Yeah, try to find it because I have no idea what you're talking about. I've seen nothing of this.
New Harley Quinn orange. That's not it. No.
Why do I have so many notifications? Oh, it's for all of the fucking rewards.
New Harley Quinn, single, serious, and that's not the title of the thing. That's just their YouTube. What is it called? Bruce Timm is working on a new animated Batman series, Batman Caped Crusader. Okay, so it's not a Harley focused show.
Shy Shark.
Batman Caped Crusader. Oh, hey, Shy Shark.
Who's Shy Shark?
Oh, wait, did they join your team?
They asked to join.
Oh, I'll probably have to message them. That's just a friend of mine. Let them know that this is a stream thing.
That's fine. I was just like, who's Shy Shark? Strange.
They probably see me on and they're like, can we play?
Yeah, they probably did it, or they probably requested it off of you.
Yeah.
The only reason the Inhumans were made in the first place was because Fox had the rights to the mutants, and Marvel didn't want them having any new characters to ruin. Now that Marvel has the mutants rights back, they're just making the Inhumans regular mutants with dormant powers. I don't want him to get rid of the Terrigen gas, though. That was a cool feature. And the whole cocoon process and stuff.
Terrigen gas.
Yeah, so Inhumans are made from the Terrigen wave, or aka the Terrigen gas, which was a essentially a mutating-esque kind of cloud that would flood its way through streets and stuff spontaneously. And all Inhumans, or basically every person that was like found in it, would essentially become encased in a cocoon. And depending on if they had the Inhuman, I guess gene, I don't remember exactly, they would either turn into goop and die or come out with superpowers.
Oh, so a lot like, that's actually a very common, after you've explained it to me, I've realized that's like a trope where put person inside a cocoon. Do they live or do they die? Live, yes. Come out powerful. Like that was the thing in Elden Ring.
Yep.
Where with those jar people.
Yep.
Also, I sent you the Harley Quinn in DMs.
Oh, okay, hold on.
At least I think that's orange. It might be green. I am colorblind.
Oh God, I have a lot of messages. Oh, this looks
your
fine.
Messages. Yeah, but people are like, "Oh, you destroyed
it's
another
yellow
work."
To my eyes, it looks like yellow to me.
Orange and yellow are close enough on the spectrum.
Okay.
If it's not bright, I usually don't assume it's yellow.
Oh no, Zoa sent us, we were talking about weird pizzas earlier. Zoa sent me a picture of Taco Bell chicken nugget pizza.
Oh yeah, Taco Bell's doing chicken nuggets now.
I've tried them. They are not good.
That's weird because they had a good chicken tender.
Oh, you mean whenever they had like the chicken like tacos?
Sandwiches? Yeah, the sandwich. Yeah, they called it a sandwich, but it was just like originally it was called a chicken sandwich, but it was just pita bread folded on a chicken tender with the sauce and the jalapenos, and then afterward they rebranded it as a chicken taco.
Huh. I know they've had like decent chicken tacos over the years. Only reason
they were.
Oh yeah.
It was really good. They have it when it came out. I said this is the best fast food chicken tender I've ever had because I've had a lot of fast food.
I still like Popeyes. I'm sorry.
My Popeyes give me these strings of fried breading, and I can't respect it. I'm sure your location's probably better, but my location's fucked me over.
Yeah, there's a location here that literally just opened because now they're gentrifying Popeyes, so they're like turquoise and white and orange is now their new color scheme, but it's brand spanking new and it's actually decent. So like, because the other one, that's actually the second closest one to me. The closest one to me is fucking garbage. My order will take 15 minutes more longer than it should, and it'll be wrong.
Yeah. Also, Popeyes gives me a lot more heartburn nowadays.
Oh my God, I can't believe Milk Shots is getting old. I want to be able to add drops tag. Didn't realize Rivals was doing one. That's totally fine. We're probably not going to go a whole lot longer.
What? You're not going to play for 10 hours like everyone else?
I probably won't play for 10 hours on stream.
Okay.
I'm just picking on you. All right. You good to go?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, wait. What was... Oh, I just realized I had an invite thing at the top or something, or a message. I wonder what that was. Hey, yo, Midtown?
Midtown, where the bats are free.
Just Strange
There should be
standing
more
there
bats.
being like, what the fuck are you guys doing?
Yeah. So this is the town after Dracula has taken over and whatever.
Yes.
Notch team to win this one.
With sounds.
I think it's funny that he. It's funny that Dracula took over the Avengers base, right? But the Fantastic Four base is the only one that stands still. Is still standing.
I mean, Oscorp's in the back. Technically not a hero organization, but yeah, you get the idea.
I feel like Oscorp would probably work with. Wait, the Fantastic Four building is just right there to Oscorp. Damn, that's
Yeah,
close.
I mean, this is all in New York.
Damn, can't they go on a different avenue?
Oh yeah, they're on different roads, but it's
Having power.
it is very funny.
30 seconds before you attack. Get ready.
Portal. Ooh.
I'm glad that they didn't oversight this and did think to make it so that Storm is technically tethered to the ground here instead of me just being like way up there right now.
Having to slowly fall
The
down.
X-Men are enough family drama.
Baxter building. Who's Baxter?
I think it's Reed's dad.
3, 2, 1.
Is Reed Mr. Fantastic?
Yes.
Help get that vehicle to
Okay.
its destination.
Where are they?
On the plus side, they
Where's the
can't
vehicle?
fight what
Oh,
they
there it
can't
is.
see.
Yeah, it's immediately outside the door. Although I still don't understand what we're taking to Avengers Tower. Is it just Herbie?
I've always been a heavy
Is it just us? Maybe it's us.
Well, no, it says escort
Scan
Herbie.
all. Help Herbie scan all the lost pages of the Darkhold.
Okay, so there's probably stuff around. Hello, Alpaca.
Where?
Alpaca Snack Pack. Welcome in. How was your stream?
I love alpacas.
Ow, pain. Ow.
Oh, Punisher's up here on this ledge.
I saw it in the back a second ago. I didn't realize he'd gotten all the way up there. He's all right. Punisher's down.
Yeah.
Whew. Welcome in. How was your stream, guys? Did you have a good time? For those of you from Alpacas who don't know me, my name is Martin. I'm the ringleader of the Dark Carnival. I usually play games that are dark, spooky, terrifying, or whatever my inclinations like to get into. However, today is the new season for Marvel Rivals, so we are currently playing a little bit of the new season.
I'm gonna be honest, whenever people don't have different skins, I get confused on which Punisher's ours and which one's theirs.
That's what you probably need to. Oh my god.
Probably need to what?
You probably need to try and change your colors so that they're more contrasting. So like the highlights are
It's just
different.
an outline though. It's not that differential.
It could help
Especially on
them.
Punisher. Yeah.
God damn
Mr.
it.
Fantastic, you're a pseudo tank. That doesn't mean tank.
Wait, do you get stuck in the wall? I feel like I just got stuck in the wall. Solo climbing with Thor's pain.
Maybe.
Yeah, that's something Milkshots here knows.
What happened?
Solo climbing as Thor.
Oh yeah, because you will get blamed for everything. Because Thor is supposed to go out of his way to kill people when others aren't.
Ow. Am I
but-
getting slowed on hits? Who deals slow on hits?
I think it's Invisible Lady. Whenever I go through like a shield, I get slowed down, like a transparent, contact lens looking thing.
Yeah. I guess that makes sense.
Judge, jury,
He's behind me.
Executioner. He's behind me, isn't it?
No, it's like I hear him behind me. He was through the wall. Need to get those healers.
Now the
Oh, yeah.
thunder is coming.
The thunder. Here comes the hurricane, bitch. Sorry. Do they have three
Yay.
healers? I just realized that. Objective,
that'll
back up,
be
back up, back up, back up. Oh,
Oh,
hi.
Star-Lord right there.
He's rezzing everybody from that.
Well, might as well push the vehicle as far as possible.
Here. You're halfway there. Keep going.
Yeah. Oh god, I suddenly feel so fucking slow.
Oh,
No!
dang. Someone just took out that storm like
That was me.
Heavenly fury. I will always lend out.
Hey, where do you think you're going, Punisher?
Oh my goodness.
Come on, Rocket, you gotta do better at keeping up
to,
your
like,
tank.
explore this map sometimes because it's so interesting looking.
Thank you.
This poor enemy storm is having such a rough time.
Keep up the momentum.
Oh, yeah. Well, we did
But
just
now,
kill
good
them
luck.
all in
Thank you
one
for the
go.
raid, Alpaca. I hope you had a good stream, guys. I hope you had a good time watching Alpaca play Marvel Rivals, or if you've been playing Marvel Rivals while listening.
Ribble.
It is always greatly appreciated.
Ribble.
He's behind. Oh, he just went for me. Oh, right. I keep forgetting it's
Nah, just
lock
get
on. I keep thinking it's fire rate
Yeah.
only. Oh my god, kill him. He was there by himself. It should not have taken that long to kill him.
No, I died because I slammed into him. She ulted just me. What the fuck? What a mean
That's
lady.
because everybody else scattered and jumped into the Susan ult behind.
I see.
All right, their DPS is dead. All right. That's
Gold
Skylock.
cherry.
Whoa,
Where?
whoa, what? What's happening? What's happening?
Whoa.
Oh, somebody is hitting me.
Hey, look, there's a little HP
Oh,
in here.
Is it? Oh, it's their storm.
Oh, hey, there's a Punisher up here. Ah, the buildings are disintegrating.
No, they're going back
What
up.
happened?
I think it's part
Oh.
of just passing it, maybe.
Are we repairing them?
I don't think so because they have an Iron Man now.
There's a snow lady here.
God damn it!
Thank you for taking me to your friends, bitch. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Punisher, kill someone, goddamn it! Kill someone! You just ulted. Okay, he got one. That's good enough for me.
Yay. She took me to their leader.
Ooh. Hey!
Oh, yeah. Another MVP for the go round.
Yay! Mirror and go MVP. Mirror and go MVP. Put the turret on the card, ride his way to the spot. True. It is a very big, what's the word? Escort thing.
God damn, 9% accuracy is Punisher. Curious one. I'm surprised you have killed that many people with that much accuracy.
I was gonna say though, look at Overhaul on the enemy team. He has 0% accuracy.
Did he hit anyone?
Well, I mean, he dealt 7,000 damage and
Then
blocked
I
13,000,
get-
which was more than their tank.
Then what the fuck is accuracy based off of?
I don't know for him. Maybe he was doing the like punch and
The
swing.
reflective.
So because you deal damage like that, but maybe it only counts accuracy off of the initial punch. But I think that's what it is. That's the only way I could see it being 0 accuracy. If he was punching and then swinging. Oh, it's the Twitch drops. That's what the notifications are. I think I got you an achievement. But I think that's all I have the energy for right now, Milk. I'm sorry.
I can't believe it.
I'll probably play a little more later, but I'm also very tired today. Tomorrow should be
You're
a
no
good day to get some
gamer.
sleep. I still also need to do something for Hora. I just remembered.
Oh yeah. All right. Get your
So
responsibilities in order.
yeah, I was like, I gotta go to the gym before Psy stream today, and then was like, I'll do it when I get home. And then it was so close that I was like, I showered, got right on the computer.
You showered? You really aren't a gamer.
Okay, yeah. What's your point? All right,
But
let me see. Who is doing something semi-relevant? Art. Chat, do you want something goofy to watch, like Seggy playing Dale and Dawson's stationery supplies? Or do we want more Mibble Ribble? We can throw you right back into Mibble Ribble if y'all are still trying to get drops.
Are there drops?
Yeah, it's Hella skins and stuff.
Ooh.
All right. We'll raid into picks then.
Thank you for having me, man.
Of course, thank you for playing. Thank you for being a dedicated Thor while I play Storm, because that's really good.
Yes.
That chain lightning is really good now because they cut its cooldown down by 25%.
That's good.
But we need a raid message.
MVP. Marin, go P.
We'll do the metal one. MVP Storm Raid. Fuck it. MVP Storm Raid.
Yeah.
It's why is it not spending 80 points? It's so over. I think it stops it from during a part like this. But I will see you guys tomorrow. We're going to be playing Star Wars Outlaw because I was given a code for it. So we're going to check it out, see how bad it really is. But I still think it'll be a bit of a fun time. But thank you for playing. Thank you for playing Milk Shots. I will see you guys later.
Okay.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for being awesome. And thank you for enjoying the show. I'm going to go see if they're going to light the fireplace, and I'm going to snuggle up next to it and probably watch a movie on my phone or something.
Don't look too close at the fire.
I don't look at it. I just sit with my back to it. But until then, later.